What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Facebook? I appreciate you guys so much for being here. I'm with my friend Justin Trudeau, or Trudeauphus, however you say it. I like Trudeauphus. To bring in the new February 2022, aka Black History Month. I thought it was only right to come with my brother Justin and really usher it in properly. So that includes Morgan Freeman clips that we love, Kanye West clips that we love, some Marcus Garvey quotes. And a fellow Caucasian, Ted Cruz, just a bonus. Not really have anything to do with Black History Month, but that's what I'm talking about today, and it should be a fun one. I'm excited. Every February, I get giddy, and I know Justin Trudeau is just as excited as I am. So I wanted to just give a little compilation of, just little pictures of him dressing up to show his, unity with races around the world. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you so much. And I already know what my biggest skeptics are going to say. They're going to come in here and say, anomaly, you're mostly white European, part Puerto Rican, questionable genetics. We don't even know exactly what I am because I refuse to take one of those 23andMe, tests of Susan Wojcicki from YouTube's sister owns the company, whatever. People are going to say, but anomaly, what makes you qualified to talk about Black history? You're not even Black. That's a great question. And my answer is, if Rachel Dolezal can pretend to be white and Whoopi Goldberg can pretend to be Jewish, anything is possible in this world. So I support the LGBT transracial community. More power to you. Congratulations, Whoopi Goldberg, on being Jewish for 40 years in Hollywood. I'm sure that was awesome. Congratulations to Rachel Dolezal for making money on cameos, pretending to be whatever ethnicity you're pretending to be. So if you guys can be Black and Jewish, I don't see why I can't weigh in on White History Month. I know who I am, not pretending to be anything I'm not. Speaking of people who pretend to be something they're not, here's Justin Trudeau playing dress up just to usher in Black History Month on the right note. Here's him, let's just pause it real quick. Unbelievable. Tongue out. Just disgraceful. This is the leader of Canada, folks. I got to move this. I might get targeted for hate speech just for making a joke. And here's him with his fellow, maybe Sikhs or something. He's just like, oh my goodness. Anyway, I don't know what that's from. I'm sorry. I just got lost in my own sauce real quick. It sounds disgusting, but whatever. Here's Morgan Freeman real quick. This is one of my favorite clips about Black History Month. He's talking to Mike Wallace and from 60 Minutes, and he's like, Black History Month, let's just watch it and then we'll dissect it.
History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid?
I'm just going to pause it because sometimes they like copyright strike me if I don't. So I'm just going to give it a pause.
Of racism.
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a Black man.
All right. So I like that clip because, think about this. You're Morgan Freeman, right? You're a multimillionaire, successful, famous. You're in all these movies. And everywhere you go, people are just treating you as like Black man number 77 or something. Like he's like a real actor, real deal guy. And it's like, what do you think of Black History Month? What do you think about being Black? And he's just like, can I be Morgan Freeman for 2 seconds? We could talk about race another day or something, but I'm Morgan Freeman. I'm one of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the same industry that you're in. Stop just calling me like Black man and just refer to me as Morgan Freeman. I love the whole dynamic of that. It's great. One of the most interesting parts about that clip too is, he goes Black History Month. And then he said, do you want White History Month? And, if you heard what Mike Wallace said, he's like, bah, 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 bah. He like stumbled and he's like, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. So there's other interviews with Mike Wallace being like, I'm white, I'm Jewish, I'm white. And then it's like, you're white. And he's like, no, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. So it's like, it's just interesting. It's like, okay, then never mind. I'm not really going to say that much. Just really sparks a lot of thoughts in my head about that. But just a classic example of just treat me like an actor, treat me like a successful American man, and stop just calling me black all the time. I don't know why I took it among myself to make a Black History Month compilation inspired by Rachel Dolezal and Whoopi Goldberg, my favorite transracial people in America. But let's listen to a few Kanye quotes that I like personally, explaining kind of the mindset in America that they hate when Black people have. Because I find it interesting, and I think some of our greatest and brightest are constantly demonized by the press and the media for breaking apart the narrative and just being a great person.
I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
My wife said to my daughter, "Tell daddy what you learned in school." And she said, "I learned that mama's white and I'm black." I said, "Damn, I wish I got the heads up." They said, "No, we had to tell her because of Martin Luther King's birthday." But a white teacher told her that. So what does it mean to be black in America if a white teacher tells her that she's black? You might be Kanye West's daughter, but you black. My daughter was free. We start putting these ideas on people. That's why we are in a simulation.
So I like that one real quick because, he's explaining really critical race theory that the liberals call it. There's this huge left-wing, right-wing debate, critical race theory. No, it's racist. It's not, whatever. But he's trying to explain his kids. All right. He's got kids with Kim Kardashian. They're black and white, but people see them as black. If you're black and white and you have kids, most of the time, the kids don't say, "Oh, I'm half white and half black." They say, "Oh, I'm black." Colin Kaepernick, "I'm black." Logic, even though he's like lighter skinned than me, he'll be like, "Well, I'm half black, I'm black." So, the teachers look at these kids that are very successful, very rich, half white, half black, don't really think about race that much, right? Kanye raises them to be free. He lets his kids do what they want. He's a creative guy. He doesn't put restrictions on his children. He sends them off to school, and you have these white teachers, probably liberal, but white teachers saying, "You're black. You're white, but you're black, and your father's black, your mom's white, and this is black." And this is screwing up the kids' heads. This is what a lot of conservative parents already know. It's not about not having conversations about race. It's okay to talk about race. There's certain things that are adult topics. I think really race, sexuality, you should let your kid grow up a little bit before he learns about all this stuff, unless maybe at a certain age, like the tooth fairy, you have to have a tough convo. But they're jamming these ideas way too early in these kids, in this really unnatural way of you're this and you're this. So because you're this, you need to think about all this other stuff. MLK, this and that, you come from oppression. It's I'm Kanye West kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm not oppressed. My mom is Kim Kardashian. I'm half white or whatever she is, Armenian, they're darker. I don't know if it's natural lighting or tanning, but whatever. It's now the kids, they have this whole new idea. They go home. There's all these thoughts in their head. And that's why it's so important, I think, for everybody, really think about what you're doing with your kids, because you're sending them off to these government schools for 40 hours a week. They got, people watching them. What are they teaching them? Because we learn what we hear from authorities. I know the English language because my parents spoke English and they taught me English and the schools spoke English. I only know what I was taught at a certain point, and then I start to be creative, et cetera. So, that's what Kanye's trying to say is you're putting these ideas in my children's head that they're not thinking about this stuff. And now you're weighing them down creatively, telling them in some way that they need to be held down. He expands on it on Big Boy. This is one of the best Kanye interviews. A lot of people in black culture get mad at him. And he's like, yeah, I'm rejecting this culture because it's a lie. Black people are good is what Kanye's trying to say. I'm black, Kanye is saying, but he's like, this culture that has been created by the media is not good culture that everyone's buying into. And he's like, I reject that. Not you, not my community, but this false idea of what it means to be black. Take a listen.
What do you say to people that say you turned your back on the culture or
exactly 100%? I have turned my back on the idea of victimization mentality. We are locked up. We went from 1 and 4. We went from 1 and 4 to 1 and 3. But we always pointing at the white people, but yet we want to spend all of.
So I'm just going to pause it so they don't get me with a copyright strike. He's like, what do you say to black people? This is what Big Boy said. What do you say to black people who say you've turned your back on the culture? And he's like, yes, I've turned my back on this idea of victim culture, this idea that we always have to be playing catch up and having a mentality of feeling behind. Continue.
Of our money on foreigners. We want to spend all.
I want to just actually rewind it because he made a good point there. I didn't want to cut him off, but I also don't want to get copyright stricken. Let me see. Where are we at? 2.
We want to spend all of our money on foreigners. We want to spend all our money on luxury as opposed to going and buying some land. America is for sale, and there's a lot of barren land.
When you hear
Think about real quick how crazy the music industry is. You know, Bryson Gray, if you guys heard my new song with Bryson Gray, Christian conservative artist, he said, DaBaby, who's a rapper, he said, DaBaby can promote violence and drugs all on his CD, but he'll get canceled if he ever offends LGBT. DaBaby, I believe, got in some sort of altercation, like a murder altercation. I don't know exactly, so I don't want to speak on it. But, you know, he can talk about anything he wants in his raps. Nobody cares. Everybody's clapping him on. All these white liberals and all these executives and all these black liberals are like, oh, good job. You're so great. You're such a rapper. And then the second he says LGBT, they all freak out. So it's like, you know, Bryson Gray's been banned from Spotify for a song that offended conspiracy theory and LGBT. You're better off talking about the murder of your own community than you are challenging liberal issues in rap culture. So Kanye's this big enemy. What's he really telling people? Is he cocky? For sure. Does he have a big ego sometimes? Absolutely. Is he very self-confident? Yes, but there's a lesson to be learned about self-confidence. If you're not confident and you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to do anything. So he does everything he does because he believes in himself. But anyway, you know, I get why people hate Kanye, but is he really the enemy of rap culture because he's telling black people to buy land? And he's telling everybody, buy land. Don't buy foreign cars. Cars lose value as soon as you take them off the lot. Don't buy bags. Don't buy jewelry that, you know, I'm sure he did that. He talks about doing that when he grew up, but he's like, I'm trying to give you 20 years of wisdom. I've been in the rap game. Go buy land. You know what I'm saying? Go create business. And Kanye gets more flack than these rappers who literally tell kids to pop pills and kill themselves and tell, you know, people in the hood that it's fine to just shoot somebody over $300 shoes. Like, you listen to some lyrics, and I'm not trying to act like a Fox News host. I love rap. I love ignorant rap. I love woke rap. I love, you know, real woke rap, not fake woke rap. But the point I'm getting to is like some of these lyricists are terrible. Like I understand like, yo, these are my boys. This is my hood. This is my gang. I get that. But some of this rap is just like degenerate criminal rap. I'm not calling all rappers criminal. I'm just saying like certain lyrics you listen to. Like I like a Lil Wayne. He's like, yo, I'm going to shoot somebody if they come to my house. You're like, for sure, for sure. And then you listen to some guy and he's like, yo, you should kill someone for no reason and then pop pills. And you're like, you're listening to lyrics, you're like, yo, this dude is this, like, this sucks. You know, like the message of this is garbage. It's not just like a normal gangster message. It's like this, the most degenerate, the most evil. You got like rappers like proudly being like Satan worshipers nowadays. They're like out there like, oh, I love Satan. It's like, it's kind of weird. It's beyond just like old school Rick Ross or Birdman. Like I'm thugging, I'm balling. It's like for show. And now it's just like, you know, I'm taking pills till I die. And you're like, what are you like trying to program the kids to die? Like some of this rap is so evil and so wicked. And Kanye is this big enemy because he puts a red hat on, loves himself, and talks about buying land. It almost seems like the people running black culture hate black people, you know? And that's what Kanye's trying to get. He's like, you can act like you're so much better than me. You guys can act like you're so woke, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying to give a real message and you guys are more satisfied with, you know, bad messages. They actually glorify you if you sodomize the devil live on TV like Nas Lil X, or just rap about the most degenerate drugs and, you know, type of lyrical content. Like they're like, yeah, that's what it means to be in the culture, not what Kanye says. It's like, so like Kanye is trying to say, well, if that's what the culture is, then yeah, I guess I am rejecting that culture. Let's listen to some more cool clips because I just picked some of my favorites. Someone said, bro, you are a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to answer that before I play another clip. The word conspiracy, actually, this right here, if you can't see it, it's a dictionary from the 1800s. The word conspiracy means two or more men committing evil, okay? That's what conspiracy means. Conspiracies happen every day. Two or more men working together to do something evil. Criminals do conspiracies. Sometimes the police do conspiracies. All over the world, conspiracies are happening every day. It's not this crazy word. It means two or more people doing something immoral or some sort of scheme. A theory is an idea. So if I were to say 20 years ago that Bextra from Pfizer is something's wrong, you would have said you're a conspiracy theorist. But there was something wrong with Bextra, and they had to settle out criminal lawsuits and fines. You know, if I were to say that there's asbestos in the baby powder, you would have said in Johnson & Johnson, you would have said I'm a conspiracy theorist. But now Reuters says it. If I were to say, you know, oral vaccines in Sudan are now the leading cause of polio in Sudan, according to Associated Press, you would say it's a conspiracy theory, even though it's in the news. So that word is just a dumb word like racist, anti-Semite, anti-vaxxer. It doesn't mean anything. It's a word for you to act like you have the moral high ground over me. Robert Malone's an anti-vaxxer. He literally got the vaccine and helped innovate the technology that led to the vaccine. Yet you're going to say he's against the entirety of the word because, you know, people don't want to think. So this idea, it's like anybody, if you have any ideas, if you think Donald Trump worked with Putin, you're a conspiracy theorist. If you think Hillary Clinton's corrupt, you're a conspiracy theorist. If you don't like Joe Biden, you're a conspiracy theorist. So that it doesn't really mean anything. It means that you have a theory about two or more people working together to do something evil. So everybody in this world is a conspiracy theorist about something, unless you don't think at all, unless you just sit there and just literally think nothing at all, then technically you have never theorized a conspiracy. But it's like, it's such a programming word. I'm reading some of the comments on like certain things. You could say a known fact that's published in the media and people are like, what kind of crazy kooky theory is that? Big Pharma is not like above scrutiny. They don't have a flawless record, and they're the ones driving the narrative right now that nobody can question them. But anyway, you know, I'm going to play some more clips of Kanye. This is the one that got him in a lot of trouble. So this is probably not the one you're supposed to play on Black History Month. But, you know, if Rachel Dolezal once again can identify as African-American, if Whoopi Goldberg can tell people that she's Jewish, I don't see why I can't weigh in on this topic. I am inspired by the legends before me, you know, and Justin Trudeau. He's a dress up, you know, Hall of Famer. Everybody thinks Kanye said slavery is a choice and they got so mad. Let's listen to what he said, and then let's think about what's happening in the world now. And by the way, I'm not going to apologize about this. I'm not Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not going on a Holocaust memorial tour to apologize. I'm not Whoopi Goldberg. I'm not going on television to keep digging myself in a deeper hole because I'm too stupid to know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not a Republican politician. I'm not flying over to Israel to kiss the wall in the yarmulke. I don't apologize for anything I'm about to say in the next 10 minutes because I don't have to. It doesn't come from a place of hate or anger. I'm not going to make crazy false comparisons to history, but it's like everybody that talks about slavery or anything, it's like, oh my God, I have to apologize now. I'm so sorry. It's like, are you really sorry? Are you? Or are you just trying to get the media off your back and be like, look, I went to a museum and I looked at a bunch of murals. It's like, cool. Like that, to me, that doesn't come off authentic. Look how not racist I am. I watched, 20 hours of Sanford and Son. It's like, wow, dude, you're totally not racist. Not like, who does that? It's like, people are like, dude, I thought about what I said. And then I went to a museum and I did a bunch of book reports and had conversations with rabbis. And now I'm totally straight. It's like, that's nice. It's great to talk to people. But everybody that I watch that says anything about these topics, they end up like apologizing and going on like a 5-month like apology tour. It's like, I'm just getting ahead of the curve. I don't apologize for anything I'm about to say. All right, let's listen to the clip.
About slavery for 400 years. For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks.
See, Kanye got in a lot of trouble because he said 300 or 400 years of slavery. He's like, at a certain point, that sounds like a choice to me. And then he talks about mental slavery. Kanye is way more off the cuff than someone like Marcus Garvey. But, somebody very famous in Black American history that they don't really teach about in schools is Marcus Garvey. I'm going to read a quote. People know it from a Bob Marley song, too. I believe Bob Marley referenced it. But this is Marcus Garvey. He said, we are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery because whilst others might free our body, none but ourselves can free our mind. Think about how profound that is. I'm going to read it again because it really hits hard. He said, Marcus Garvey, we are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery because whilst others might free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind. That's a powerful, powerful quote that stands the test of time. He's like, we might be free physically right now, but we have to mentally free our mind or else we're going to end up back in slavery, physical slavery or mental slavery. And like Kanye says, I don't like the word slavery. I want to use prison because when you use slavery, everybody thinks of black slavery. But if you look up the word enslaved, it literally has a dictionary definition. The word enslaved means, the last time I checked, to lose freedom or choice of action. So if somebody takes your freedom away, your choice of action, if you used to be able to go to work, but now you can't go to work without an mRNA injection and a mask strapped against your face, by dictionary definition, that is enslaved. That's not to compare it to past slavery. That's not the same as slavery in Libya. That's not the same as the Uyghur camps, which is not the same as what children are dealing with in America, which is not, everybody's got their own version of how bad is it? How good is it? How different is it? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it psychological? But the word enslave is a real word. So this idea that political correctness, you have to apologize for using a word that's a real word, is crazy. But what Kanye was trying to say is, if there were thousands upon tens of thousands upon hundreds of thousands upon possibly millions of people enslaved over the course of hundreds of years, Kanye said, that sounds like a choice. And he wasn't saying, oh my God, that's so evil and that's so good. And it's not. No, he's saying he's got that type of mind like Nat Turner style. Like, I'm not staying there for 400 years. You know what I'm saying? He's the type of person that probably would have helped free the slaves. He would have been like, we're not going to hang around here forever. We got to go create our own land. We got to, bring something to the table. And that's what happened at a certain point. You had in history certain people that were instrumental in the ending of physical slavery. Who do you think ended physical slavery? Somebody like Kanye West? Yes. Somebody like Don Lemon? No, of course not. So, I'm not trying to make false comparisons, but you get what I'm saying. Everyone got so mad at what he was saying, but really he was trying to requote the Marcus Garvey thing, where it's like, in order to enslave us physically, there had to be some mental slavery involved. And I would have been like, let's get out of this earlier. And I like to think I'm that type of person. Okay. Now let's fast forward 3 years. Everybody got so mad at that quote, right? That was the big, oh my God, everybody in the media. Now you have people in blue states and cities and all across the country. They are now voting for politicians overwhelmingly, for politicians that are trying to take more tax money from them, that are trying to shut down their businesses. These people never lost a paycheck. Fauci, Pelosi, but they're trying to mentally trick you into thinking that it's a good idea for your health to shut down your gym. It's a good idea for your health to cave to all these mandates. It's a great idea for your health, for your business to go bankrupt, but mine's going to be at a record high. Oh, and we're selling stocks and we're predicting things because we're part of the political group who makes them happen. And you still have people voting for the worst party in this country. The same people who got mad at Kanye West, and I'm not talking about ethnic group, I'm talking about mentality-wise, but obviously if you look at statistics, you can see which ethnic groups are voting in that pattern highly. But the people with that left-wing mentality, the victim mentality, the don't you dare say that mentality, are the same ones that are falling for the same traps. And that's why it's so important to not play the victim, live in the present, and have this idea that, you can be tricked into your own demise. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to apologize. I know what the word enslave means. I could read the Oxford Google Dictionary definition for you right now. It means to lose your freedom. It means to lose your freedom of choice or action. So if I'm losing my freedom all over in my life, my freedom to go to a grocery store, my freedom to go on a cruise, my freedom to fly across country, I feel like a prisoner in my own country right now. I can't go to Hawaii, even though it's in the country because they have crazy rules. I can't really go to Europe. I'm afraid I'm going to be stuck anywhere I go. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't shove PCR tests up my nose. I don't get injectables in order to prove I'm a special boy in society. So I feel like a prisoner of my own country right now. I'd love to travel the world, but I really can't right now. I'm a prisoner in my own country. And the word imprisonment has a real word, and the word enslavement means something, just not the past. So what Kanye is trying to say there is so important. And it only took 2 years for the same people complaining about him talking about mental slavery for them to literally choose mental slavery, which includes abusing their children, their elders, and themselves psychologically, mentally, and in the case of physically, closing down gyms, strapping something to their face for 8 hours that, obviously there's going to be effects to your skin. You can fact check this all you want. Fact check says it's not true. Fact check, yeah, we know what you are. We know that you're just Democrat POP, big pharma firms that are pretending to be unbiased fact checkers. Oh, just push the agenda forward. There's no collateral damage. Yes, there is, dummy. Millions of people have been abused in multiple ways from all of your mandates, from all of your evil ways. And you guys can sweep it under the rug all you want, but God's watching and the devil is licking his lips at how sick you guys are. But, I'm not apologizing. I'm not going on a tour. I don't even think I'm allowed in museums anymore. So if I was to offend somebody of a different ethnic group, I think I'm banned from United States museums because I refuse to give 4 Pfizer injections to prove that to Albert Bourla's bank account that I'm a special boy. It's like, I feel enslaved in my own country, and I don't care who gets offended by that. The word has a meaning, and if we lose the meaning of words, there's no point in doing anything anymore. So let's listen to some more clips. It's a classic that I like from the Big Boy interview, I believe.
The same people that are telling you that to remove Jesus, period, from America, which is the Bible Belt. Those people,
They already really have removed Jesus from the classroom. They are trying to remove Jesus from the country. And in his point that he's saying, the same people that are telling you you're not allowed to say who you'd vote for are the same ones who are going to take Jesus out the classroom. It's already happened. And here's the crazy thing. I can't get into it exclusively because it would take me 20 minutes, but it's not just left-wingers who are pushing speech laws to take Jesus out of the country. Right-wingers, DeSantis, Trump, Cruz, all my favorite ones, to be honest, they're all pushing these anti-Semitism speech laws, which have massive definitions that are incredibly, it's like the word racist. It means literally everything and nothing at all. And they're passing these laws, which would literally make certain parts of the Bible illegal. That's correct. Not just Democrats, Republicans passing speech laws that would make the Bible illegal. Okay? So you have a dual party corruption on this, and I don't have enough time to explain how it's happening, but I've told people who listened in the past multiple times in 2019, and it's happening again. But, he's totally right. Let's keep listening.
People will be so, man, come on, man. I ain't finna go Alex Jones level on y'all, man. Come on, man. What y'all, like, wake up, Mr. West. Wake up, culture. Wake up. Everybody think they so woke, but they following the rules of what woke's supposed to be.
Yo, I love a good Kanye rant. People hate it, but it's like he can be a little egotistical, I think that's why a lot of people don't like him. But man, he really speaks a lot of truth in his rants. And I do think this real quick before I play the Ted Cruz thing. In order to do anything, you have to believe you can do it. So you don't have to be outwardly as maybe cocky as Kanye West is if you don't want to be. But in order to achieve something, you have to believe you do it. Is Tom Brady humble? Of course, to the press. In Tom Brady's own head, is he humble? Of course not. In his own head, I'm going to win. I'm the best. You can't be the best if you don't think you're the best. So you don't have to go full Kanye or full whoever. But, I think there's a lot to learn even in his arrogance, where it's like if you talk down to yourself, he's always correcting people when they say, hey, we want to do this. He's like, no, we will do this. He's manifesting words. He understands the power of the mind. That's why he's, I believe, the richest Black person on earth. You don't get to that place by chance, especially when you came from nothing, especially when you like Jesus, especially when you're pushing back against the media. It takes a serious mind to get to that level of wealth and to get to that level of success like he's had. He's got that type of mindset where he's like, I'm going to do it. I don't care who tells me otherwise. And I'm not going to say, I wish I want to do it. I wish I could do it. I can't do it. I'm going to speak my life into existence. There's a real message there, whether you like Kanye or not. I know a lot of people can't take his attitude, but there's something to learn even from people that you don't like in some cases. All right, let's listen to Ted Cruz today real quick. I got to see who this is exactly. He had a conversation today with, really quick. It is, I got to find the name of this lady. Hold on one second. Did he take it down? I think he might have taken it down, but this is some sort of California judge. Let me see. Cruz, I have it, so it's not taken down on my thing. Let me just look exactly who this is he's speaking to. Okay, here it is. He said, today I asked Kenly Kia Koto, President Biden's nominee to be the judge of the Central District of California, if racial discrimination is wrong. She was unable to answer a simple question. We're going to listen to it. Two things that I think are interesting from this talk. Let's just wait till after. Let's listen to him try to ask her, is racial discrimination wrong? And he cites that Asians are being discriminated against in school because, Asians do by demographic really well per capita. So now they are being racially discriminated against at multiple top schools because they don't want as many Asians, So he's asking this question. It's very telling. Let's listen.
Judge Cotto, I want to start with you. Is racial discrimination wrong?
Senator, our Constitution prohibits race discrimination on the basis of race.
Okay, let me ask again, is racial discrimination wrong?
Senator, as a judge, I don't deal with issues of morality or whether something...
So you have no views on...
That's a little weird. I understand you want to be politically correct, but she's like, as a judge, we don't deal with issues of morality. Is that what judges do? I don't know. Is that a good answer? I'm not sure. I'm not in the profession, but...
Whether it's right or wrong?
Senator, because that is an issue that is frequently litigated before the courts, pursuant to Canon 3 of the Code of Conduct.
Okay, so why does the Constitution prohibit racial discrimination?
Senator, I think it's part of our Constitution and this nation's history of aiming for equal justice and treating people, regardless of any protected class status, equally and fairly.
So discriminating based on race violates, I think you just said, our Constitution's history of aiming for justice. Is that a fair characterization?
Senator, our case law, if you're talking about race discrimination under the law, yes, pursuant to Supreme Court precedent, race discrimination under the law is prohibited.
So you and I are both.
So I don't really get, like, honestly, I don't understand why she wouldn't say if it's moral or not. I don't know if that's like normal, but Ted Cruz is trying to say that's not normal. She just wouldn't answer it. My takeaway is this, though. They say all the time that racial discrimination, discriminating specifically based on race is unconstitutional. Yet it happens everywhere in the country, everywhere. I mean, most major corporations, most schools, most things in this world now discriminate heavily against whites and Asians. Why? Because per capita, Asians are not a high demographic, but they're doing astronomically well in comparison to other demographics when it comes to academics, etc. And a lot of these schools have diversity quotas, and a lot of these schools want more LGBTs. And, they're not judging people anymore by the basis of the content of their character, saying, well, that's a transgender, well, that's an Asian, well, that's a white person, that's a black person. We're going to pick the highest qualified person. I mean, that America doesn't exist anymore. That's what MLK apparently preached. That's not what's happening right now. I don't think anybody left wing or right wing, whether you like me or not, I don't think anybody thinks that that's happening. So I don't understand how all this stuff gets away. Clearly, our court systems don't work. If it says in America that it's unconstitutional to do racial discrimination, then the whole country is unconstitutional, because at every level of everything, they're openly admitting that they're not judging a content of character. My friend worked for a foundation in New York City. I'm not going to say what, but he told me naturally his company was already diverse. He was like, there's not even that many white people. We just give the job to whoever's there. There's a Jewish guy, there's a black guy, there's a white guy, there's an Italian, there's an Asian, there's a woman. Like the guy who ran it was gay. It's like they already had all this liberal diversity. And then they paid some dude a couple $100,000 a year to come in and say, hey, let's stop judging people by the content of their character and let's start thinking about race. And his whole position is give this guy money and he'll go and strong arm you into hiring a certain race, even if that's not what's best for your company. So I don't know many places anymore that actually do hire on the content of the character. And in this country, for some reason, liberals and judges alike have decided that racial discrimination based on race is unconstitutional unless you're discriminating against Asians or white people. Then all of a sudden it's fine, and it's okay to judge people not based on their content of their character. So I don't know what the bigger takeaway here for me is, the fact that she doesn't want to say if it's moral or not, or the fact that she admits that pretty much the entire country is unconstitutional, on every level. And they're pushing for this idea that it's okay to, give one race a boost and a handout and another race a hand, a harder path to victory. And here's the thing. There's a whole nother debate about whether affirmative action works or not, or whether affirmative action is justified because of history. That's a whole different conversation, right? Which I'm willing to have and explain why I think that it doesn't help. But in general, without getting even too messy into that, I think everybody from black activists to left winger to right winger can admit that she's telling us right there that it's unconstitutional to do what every company, not every, but most companies, most schools, most universities are doing, especially big tech and especially all of these, liberal types. I don't care who it is or, what they are, but it's like, I personally think on every level that hiring people because of their skill set, their content of their character, and how well they, can perform the task makes for a better country. And also, as somebody that worked pretty hard in my life, I think I can do, case comparisons in a lot of different ways and say, man, if certain things are given, people will then be lazier and not work up to the job. But there's a whole debate. I could see somebody going the other way and saying, well, this is the way to equal it out. I don't want to get too complicated right now without somebody here to challenge me, but that's kind of the story of the day, bringing together a bunch of things that nobody thought were going to come together on Black History Month. Ted Cruz, randomly, this lady, Kanye West, Morgan Freeman, Mike Wallace, and, Justin Trudeau. Dress up Justin. Maybe we'll put the picture of Justin up one more time for kicks, and then I'll hang out, answer some questions, hang around for a little bit. And we all know this guy is having a blast this month. He can't control his country. The truckers are out of control, but at least he's got a Twitter to tell you about how much he loves Black people. And when I say loves them, I'm talking full blown every day is Halloween for that man. It's like he likes it so much. He just uses every party as an excuse for dress up. No, I'm just kidding. Fact check. He doesn't do every party, only dress up parties once a year. Okay, we get it, dude. We get it. It's just a joke. Calm down. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to answer some questions, look up some stars. Let me see. Top star senders. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Lori Lynn. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Devin. Travis said, thank you for pushing facts. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Tomas. Thank you, everybody else. Appreciate y'all. Someone said he's hiding in his bunker. Well, yeah. Justin Trudeau's bunker is comfortable. He's got his BLM blanket, made from organic material. Nothing wrong with that. He's got a lot of masks in his bunker. It's got to be extra big because he's got a bunch of face masks in case he needs to dress up as any other ethnicity. Someone said, when is White History Month? Ask Jesse Lee Peterson. I think he said July's White History Month because it just feels white. It's pretty funny. That's actually a really good clip, is listening to Jesse Lee Peterson debate this like left-wing progressive dude on Young Turks. And he's so angry. He's like, what do you mean it's White History Month? And Jesse Lee Peterson's like, I don't know. July's just White History Month. It just feels white, and it's so funny. It's such a good clip. So according to Jesse Lee Peterson, it's in July, but don't tell the liberal media that they're going to have a conniption. Someone said this country is one big soap opera. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. I was thinking about that the other day. Like, as far as like attention, I like doing work. I like getting my information out there. I obviously want to be successful and not poor later in life. But, I don't want to be any more famous because they treat like everybody terrible. Like, if you become a big celebrity, they just gossip about you. They lie. There's magazines saying you're cheating all the time, even if you're not. It's like, what a nightmare that's got to be. And then if you become a politician, they try to dig up your whole life. They lie about you. They get random people that barely know you to say the meanest things they could think. Man, what a tough life. I hate drama. I hate stress. Even in conservative rap, there's people that don't like each other. There's people. I just want to be left the hell alone personally. I'm the type, I got things to do. I'm not worried about another man. If I'm going to be worried about a woman, it's going to be my girl, not like someone random. So people with all this stuff, I'm like, that's why people run for office. Like, no, I hate that. I hate the idea of just like so much mess. That's why I feel bad for Rogan. I don't think he wants all this, but they're like, they won't leave the dude alone. Thank you, Richard. I saw Candace the other day she said if she ever runs, she'll run with Thomas Massey. That's pretty epic. A lot of people are sleeping on Candace. I'm telling you, she's had her moments. Everybody has ideas. Everybody has a past. Everybody does stuff. People, accuse her of certain stuff. Sometimes I see people saying she's controlled. I'm telling you, I think she's the real deal. And if she could run with anybody, she's going to run with Thomas Massey, the only actual like libertarian conservative in our party who Trump said he was going to kick out of the party. That's pretty epic. I would vote for her 1,000 times before I voted for, Trump or any of these other people. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That's the thing too. I guess I'll say this real quick as I'm going to check out some other comments. Like, sometimes people always slide in my comments or DMs and stuff, and it'll be like, that person's this, that person's that. I get it. You don't have to like everybody. There's people that I don't like and I don't trust. So I understand. I'm very skeptical too. But sometimes I see a lot of people really hurling accusations at Rogan and Candace, etc., where I don't know. I'm like, Rogan, you could say what you want about him, but he's pushing back against the media narrative so hard. I listen to his podcast. I don't like everything he says, but he does health. He has on like holistic people. I've learned there's so much value there. I've learned so much from Rogan's podcast, and I just tune out the ones that I don't like, So I'm not going to say I take offense because I'm not offended. But when people are always bashing Rogan and Candace, you don't have to like them, but it's like, they're doing a lot of good and providing a lot of value. And sometimes the biggest haters in the comments, they're not really doing anything. So it's like, you don't have to be as big as Rogan to make an impact, but just judging everybody else all the time is not really moving the needle for culture, and it's not really helping us. Candace is massively helping us. She's waking up people to the horrors of what they do to your children when they're born. Her Instagram stories have been amazing. Rogan has done more than his fair share for the country. So, I like to show love and defend people when I can, because I know those are the same people that are going to lie about me if I just do one little thing they don't like. Well, you talk to somebody, and both sides do it. It's like high school drama. If you interview them or get along with them or took a picture with them, it's a mess. I mean, it's easy to say this stuff, but when you really start working hard yourself, you start to realize how it really works. And for me, it's like, I've built a lot just by myself with really hard work and dedication and putting in work that these other people would never put in. And then they have the nerve to say, well, if you get big enough and you talk to that person, you must be controlled opposition. It's like, you couldn't do 1/1000th of the work that I put in. So now you want to lie on my name because I made it to a certain point and someone wanted to have a conversation with me. If you work hard enough, I'll give you a hint. Yes, there are people that are controlled. Yes, there are people that are total shills. There are corporate losers who will lie for money. Obviously, that's true. I'm not trying to downplay that because it's real. But also, I personally believe that, great people respect other great people, like athletes, musicians, not the fake ones, not the sold out ones. Like your vibe attracts your tribe. If you're sold out, you'll be at the, the award show with the other sellouts. But, you can have success in this world. There are good people that are billionaires. There are good people that are in politics. Not as many as people think, but, I think at a certain point, it's not good to just hate on somebody because they're doing well. And if that's the only reason. Nunya Biz said, bro, you ain't famous. I didn't even say that. That's not the point of what I was saying. But it depends what you mean by that. Am I as famous as Kanye West? No. Am I as famous as Michael Jordan? Not even close. But do I get recognized sometimes or often? Yeah, for sure. But this is not like a bragging about how many people recognize me. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to explain something. But you sound like you're angry, bro. Drink some water, get some air, go for a jog. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm just going to read this comment. Sarah said, Candace is controlled opposition. Sarah, I don't even know you, but I could guarantee that Candace has probably done 10,000 times as much as you've done. She's probably worked harder, made a bigger impact, helped more people. I'm not saying that your life doesn't matter, but I'm just like, it's easy to sit on the sidelines and hurl fake accusations at somebody. Candace has made a lot of success, but she's using her power the last 2 years to talk about issues nobody's talking about. She's talking about childhood vaccinations. Nobody's talking about it. She's talking about circumcision. Nobody's talking about it. She even said she thought the moon landing was fake. You know what I'm saying? And on a big platform. Listen, you could call her what you want, but she's a free person doing what she wants when she wants. And maybe you don't agree with her, but I'm not going to say I take offense, but it's like, what have you done? What are you doing? People that can't even reach these many people with this important of a message. It's not like she's using her platform to just talk about herself all the time. She's been better than anybody in the Republican Party over the past 2 or 3 years. Who else is doing that? Nobody. Who's doing that on the scale that she's doing that? Nobody. So, the last thing we need is people tearing down the only people on our side that are even doing something out of the normal. She's not running around the country passing speech laws. She's not running around the country telling everybody to just suck up to Trump. And, it's like she asked him some questions, revealed some truths about him, pushed him on Assange, could have went harder, but at the same time, never silenced herself. She didn't let her relationship with Trump allow her to keep her feelings down about how she feels. She's gone on social media hundreds of times and explained to people how she disagrees with Trump completely. So, I mean, you can say what you want, but I don't know. I've seen people say to me 50 times, you're this, you're that, you're this. It's like, it's easy for you to just lie about me when you're just sitting there, making opinions. If you're so great, if you're so much better than her, build your own platform, build your own media company, tell people the truth, fill in the gaps of what she's not doing. but I guarantee you don't want to take the time and energy to do that. So you're just going to sit and lie on other people's names. It's someone said Tim Cass and Anomaly is going to be the most epic crossover of 2022. I hope so. I got to just get out there sometime, but I did get invited at some point. Someone said Leia Dundas. She goes hard in the paint in what she does. Leia definitely goes buck wild. Someone said she did an interview with Dr. Malone. As far as conservative influencers go, she's as free as you could possibly get. I don't think that anybody's sitting there forcing her hand. She's explaining things that nobody's explaining every day. Go watch her Instagram stories. She's killing it right now. So, I like to defend people when they do a good job. When Rogan does a bad job or when Candace does a terrible job, it's okay to scrutinize them. They're not above scrutiny, but Candace and Rogan have been two of the most important voices, I think, in the past 2 years against medical tyranny. So I don't know. When people try to turn on them when they're doing important work, I don't agree. But nobody's above scrutiny. I just think it's like, you think she's controlled, but if you like me, she invited me on her show, no questions asked, nothing, text back in 15 minutes, you could come, no rule about what I can and can't speak about. She does what she wants. I don't think anyone's telling her what to do. You might not like it all the time. There might be moves she makes that I wouldn't make, but she's not like someone that's being puppeted. She's doing her thing. Someone said, I believe that Candace is in control, but I'm not sure about Joe Rogan. I don't know everything about everyone, but my take on Rogan is I don't think Rogan wants the smoke as much as Candace. Like, Candace is dedicated to this. Like, she wants politics. She wants the smoke. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Rogan wants to be the biggest person. Like, some people might disagree with me. That's fine, because I don't really know Joe like that. But I think Joe is like a MMA guy. I think he's a stoner. And I think he's like a guy who likes to learn and stuff. I don't think Joe wants to be a political figure. I don't think Joe wants to be the tip of the spear. So I think Candace is more headstrong and she's not going to bow down. And I think Joe will cave sometimes. I don't think it's because he's controlled. I just don't think he wants all this attention and stuff. Like, when you really listen to him talk, I think he's kind of just like, damn, like, dude, everybody's talking about Joe all the time. Every time. Imagine if you're that person. Say you're just a person that is there. Now everybody's debating you all the time. Every politician, every media company, musicians hate you. That's a lot of energy to bear. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for me or you to have an opinion about them, which is totally true. But, I don't know. That's a lot. That's not fun. So I think Candace is more like, I don't care. And Joe's more like, leave me alone. I'm going to read this, Sarah, real quick, because I don't think this is true. Sarah said, if they don't get deplatforms like other truthers, just know they're all agents. Well, that is a provable lie, Sarah. If you were to say there's some people that are agents, sure. But every single person that doesn't get deplatformed are agents. That's just a lie. That means you're not a truther. That means you're an emotional person who just hates on anybody who's not exactly like you. There's hundreds of people that aren't agents that aren't deplatformed. It depends what you talk about, how you talk about it. There are people that say less than me, but they go harder on the LGBT trans thing, and they get deplatformed all the time because that's a hate speech rule that they keep violating. People like Matt Walsh. So there's different reasons people get banned. And there's a lot of people that are banned on some platforms that aren't banned on all. So, I mean, that's just a false statement to say every single person that's not deplatformed or is an agent. It's not true. There's people that have got deplatformed that are idiots. There's people that have got deplatformed who are the most honest people in the country. There's people on platforms that are incredibly great, and there's people on platforms that are not incredibly great. And they're trying to deplatform Joe Rogan right now. So it's this game of like, if you're on a no, they're coming for everybody. There's people who could say, well, if you have a bank account, you're an agent because I don't have a bank account. It's like, no, they go harder at different people for different reasons, but eventually they will come for everybody. So now there's thousands of people that use social media. Not everybody that has an Instagram is working for the feds. Some people just, toe the line or haven't crossed the threshold of what these companies consider, unacceptable speech. And I don't know. I just think it's unfair, but you could think what you want. It's just not honest. So if you want to be a hater, you can be a hater. But if you want to be a truther, you have to seek the truth, whether it goes with your bias or not. I don't think for a single second that everybody who has an account on mainstream social media has to be an agent. I don't think that's true at all. But you could think whatever you want. You don't have to agree with me. Someone said Malone is not your friend. I don't know. I look for value. I think his podcast was very valuable. I'm not looking for a friend. You know, I have friends that I know and stuff. I'm not looking for new best friends at a Robert Malone. So I just listen and learn and educate myself and agree and disagree and try to take value and, you know, associate it with problems. He doesn't need to be my friend. Someone said Malone is as deep state as it gets. I mean, if you want to think that, I don't care, but I don't know. To me, he seems like an authentic guy who, after decades of work, realized what he was doing was not what he thought. But if you want to think everybody that you disagree with slightly is an agent and a Fed and deep state, then that's fine. But I just don't think that's true. And to be quite honest, like for myself, okay, I can't tell you about everybody else. I've built this. Most people do not work as hard as me. And I'm not saying I have the hardest job. People work way physical labor. That's tougher than what I do. But like I busted my ass you don't know how much work I put in to do videos, to do live streams, to do presentations. I do it all myself. It's taken me thousands of hours every day. My back hurts. My head hurts. I nonstop work 10 hours a day since the time I was 17 years old. So then I get all this success, right? I got millions of followers and now I'm making money. Athletes like me, musicians like me, like people that I grew up on respect me because I never lied and I never sold my soul. And now that things are going well, people are going to do the same thing that you're doing to other people. They're saying, oh, Anomaly's got to be this because he's doing well. Says you. Says who? Says you because you didn't put in the work. Says you because you can't fathom how I was able to use the truth and God to accomplish something that seems impossible. You know, when I lived in Los Angeles and I was going through, I felt even more empowered because I was like, if I could make it here in such a wicked place, if I could come out of here with my head screwed on, I could make it anywhere. You know, I like to walk into the lion's den and still come out unscathed. So, you know, the reason I kind of, I guess, feel a different way, not just a different way, but it's like, you know how many people have said what you're saying about other people to me, and I know myself? Like, you can have an idea of me, right? There's nothing wrong. I'm not above scrutiny. You could think this, but if I could collect all of the times people said what you said about me, you don't know me. You know nothing about, you know what you think you know. I know me. I am me. I pay my bills. You know what I'm saying? I pay taxes. I run this operation. I filed for a business. I've really done it all. So I know this. And you got people with pure confidence talking about me wrong. So sure. Well, he's China. Well, he's this. Well, he's that. Well, he's this. Well, he's that. Well, he's this. And it's like, you're not a truther. I know the truth about myself. I don't know who you are. I could do the same thing to you and say, well, you must be an agent sent here to, you know, spew misinformation among the boss. I'm not going to say that because I don't think you're an agent. I think you're somebody who is skeptical of people that you don't like, which there's nothing wrong with. But it's like, I don't call people things that I don't know because I really take the truth seriously. And although I might think something, like I don't particularly like Ben Shapiro on a lot of issues, but I'm not going to call him a name unless I know what I'm talking about, because it might just be my emotions disagreeing with him on a lot of topics, having different ideas of what to do with foreign policy. And it might be me just saying things that I don't know because I think it feels right. So that's just the type of work that I do, where I'm like, I think what comes around goes around. If you accuse other people of false things, people are going to accuse you of false things. So I like to defend people that I think are doing a righteous job, because this is the same way people are going to treat me. I've been successful. If I keep working, things are probably going to get better. Maybe I get deplatformed from everything. I don't know. Maybe I have to start on Gab, and I already have a Gab, but you get what I'm saying? Who knows? I don't know. I could lose everything tomorrow. But the thing is, you know, when things work for me because of the work I put in, because of how I carry myself and talk to other people, you know, people are going to hate on it. Like, I know people that, you know, they don't like Elon Musk, right? Some people like him, some people don't. Some people think he's suspect because of his Neuralink technology, which is totally valid. It's something you should be scrutinizing, something that puts a computer chip in your brain. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you know, if I were to have a conversation with Elon Musk, there's going to be people who say, well, Anomaly had a conversation with Elon Musk. He must be deep state. Well, Babylon Bee had a conversation with Elon Musk. Is Babylon Bee deep state? No, they're a Christian satire organization of funny guys who worked hard and didn't just talk in the comment sections and made something of themselves. And then Elon Musk thought they were funny. And that's how humanity works sometimes. Not everybody's out to get you all the time. And sometimes people genuinely like you for who you are, So I carry myself different than other people. I don't act like other people. I believe in a whole different set of rules, the golden standard of the universe. I treat others the way I want to be treated. I like to, not be confrontational, not because I'm a weak person, but because I don't have time for unnecessary drama when I'm focused. And I'm willing to talk to people that I do like, don't like. And because of that, your vibe attracts your tribe. If you're this dude who's just super nice and super pleasant all the time, and everywhere you go, you got a big smile on your face and you say hi to everybody, you're going to have more people like you because you're a nicer person. If you got a pussy face on all the time and you're calling everybody agents all the time, nobody's going to like you. And I'm not saying you don't have to do that, but the point I'm getting to is like, everybody has their own reality. Joe Rogan, Candace, myself, etc., Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. Not everybody is perfect. Obviously, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. And, I understand why people don't. And I think that they are, pushing a narrative for a corporate political agenda. But the point I'm getting to is like, if you do what's right in this world, if you work hard, if you have a good attitude, I still believe that God has your back. I don't think there's things that'll limit me. I think I could do things that people never would have thought I could do. And when I go and accomplish those things, then my biggest fans are going to turn into my biggest haters. I took a picture with Candace Owens and you got people saying, oh, now it's for sure anomalies controlled opposition. You don't even know how I know Candace. You don't even know I was there. You're making up shit because you're emotional that I went to her interview and I didn't interview. I can interview with anybody. Laura Ingraham wanted me on the show one time. I don't know crap about Laura Ingraham. Somehow Fox just found a clip of my, Twitter feed and they wanted me on as a climate change, former activist or whatever. That it doesn't mean I'm controlled. It means they found my content and, called my dad and somehow got my number. So the point I'm getting to is I already see people doing it about me. It's like before Candace even blew up, I found her video on Reddit or something, and it looked good. She was talking about Charlottesville and countering the narrative of the media, and I posted it and I subtitled it, and it got 26 million views. So I reached out to Candace and said, hey, that video that went viral, I uploaded that. And she said, oh, thanks. Why'd you do it? I said, I thought it was a good video. I've done that for 6 people. There's people that hate me now that I helped get 5 million views before they ever could. I've helped a lot of people out of the kindness of my heart because I see talent when it's a good message. Let the world hear it. Why do you think I play clips in my videos? That's a good message. I want people to hear it. Anyway, I met Candace before all this other stuff went. And, I think at the end of the day, she remembers that. I have a signed book I can show you right here that she signed. Thank you for doing that. So the point I'm getting to is not anything besides I don't ask for favors, but I texted Candace. I said, hey, I'm going to be in Tennessee. I'd love to chat. 10 minutes later, she says, sure, you're on the show. No control. No, you have to do this. No, that you have to do this. Just mutual respect between two people who do their own thing. So, nothing about that whole situation was controlled or this or that. It's just I'm friends with her. She let me come on. We talked about what she wanted to talk about. I move on with my life. Never once did her or Shapiro or anybody try to force my hand. So, long story short, I'm just saying people already do it to me. My biggest fans turn into my biggest haters when I post a picture with somebody that they don't like. It's like, man, I try to defend other people from that because it's just, treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you ever want to do something and make moves, you're going to be under scrutiny too. That's why I pray for people like Kanye and Pete Davidson. It's like, dude, everything they do is a story. It's got to be miserable. They go out, story, this story, that story. It sucks. It's not fun. And I'm not at that level. I'm just saying, with like petty, everybody's controlled op that I don't like. It's like, I've seen it 1,000 times already. Do I think the truckers will get anywhere with the protest? Honestly, I think I'm not trying to poo-poo on the protest because I already got in trouble for making a joke about it. I'm actually going to do an interview with my buddy from Rebel News later tonight, and I'm going to try to get like the truth about what's going on there. But I think the only protest that matters personally is when enough people start following this. Like, for example, if you go to California and you drive through California, where is the mask mandate in order? it's in order in places that follow it. In conservative counties that don't give a crap about what Gavin Newsom says, because this stuff is not like an emergency authorized mandate. What the hell does that mean? It means he relies on what? People in the town to listen and, law enforcement officers to arrest people. It doesn't really exist in conservative areas of California, but in the liberal areas it does. So the only protest that's going to matter is when people stop wearing masks, shoving PCR tests up their nose, and getting injectables when Pfizer tells you to. And I'm not suggesting people do this or do that, but if if 80% of the population says we're literally not doing that, then they have no choice but to stop, because nobody's going to pay attention. You get what I'm saying? It's not like it's like if they told you to sit on the ground and take a poop on the ground. It only works if everybody sits on the ground and poops on the ground. If you decide I'm not going to take a poop on the ground, then there is no ground poop, day where everybody poops themselves for 2 years. So, I think the truckers are raising awareness. They might even have a logistics or systemic plan that I'm unaware of, because I'm not really following the leadership of the trucker protest. It's a great image, right? It's great symbolism. Will it work? Probably not. Nothing will work until enough people join them. Like, there's going to be people that say, I support the truckers, and then go to the Walmart down the street and shove a PCR test up their nose because they want to go to Hawaii for 6 days so they could wear a mask in Maui and get, abused by people over there. So it's like, it only goes so far. If everybody's like, I'm with the truckers, shove, Hawaii, mask, injection, it's like this all is going to last for as long as people do it. I don't judge other people, but I don't live in the same reality. Like, I've never had a PCR test. I'm not wearing a mask to enter a restaurant. I'm not wearing a mask in a grocery store. It's not a thing that I'm doing at all. I make that clear. And if anybody tries to get in my way, I'll explain myself thoroughly. And I guarantee they'll think twice the next time that they aimlessly try to zombie onto somebody else. So is it interesting? Sure. Is it symbolic? Absolutely. Could it systemically do something? Absolutely. But, if you really want to help the truckers or join the truckers, it's like, people don't even need to leave their house. Just stop doing what they're telling you to do, and all of this ends like in a week. But that's not advice. That's just reality. I don't know. The places in America that are the most free are not the places that comply the most. This is not me telling people what to do. This is literal just social science. Where's the freest place in America? It's going to be the place that complies the least. Where's the least free place in America? It's going to be the place that complies the most. So they lied to a bunch of people and brainwashed them through mass media to think it's the unvaccinated who are stealing our freedoms, when in reality, you have Stockholm syndrome. It's the people you're listening to who are stealing your freedoms. Unvaccinated people in Alabama don't give a crap about you, and they don't care what you do, so they have no idea what you're doing. Your slave masters, your Stockholm syndrome overlords are the ones that are taking this stuff from you. So, it's social science reality that the places rejecting the mandates the most are the most free. The places complying the most are the least free. That's why when I told the guy at my store, he said, we're going to keep doing this as long as Gavin Newsom says so. And I said, well, you're going to be doing it forever then, because it keeps going on because you keep listening. It's been 2 years. I mean, I looked at him like a man. I'm like, bro, you don't want to hear what I say in person. You think I say a lot now in person. It's not for Instagram. It's for reality. I don't do this as a shtick for Facebook. It's like when I'm in the real world and you try to infringe on my basic human rights, yeah, it gets really real, because it's not for the gram anymore. It's I'm in the real world and you're trying to treat me like a slave, an animal, a lab rat, and an abused animal. And I will let any man or woman know to their face, excuse me, ma'am, I'm not a slave. I'm not a lab rat. I'm not an animal. I'm not this abused circus tool. And I'm not a prisoner. So you're going to have to rethink what you're saying to me and how you're treating me. And while you're at it, you should actually rethink how you're treating everybody, because you're a horrible person. You're actually treating that person like shit. You're treating that old lady like shit. Half the people in this place hate you. So, you should really think about the karmic impact of hurting so many people and abusing children for so long. So yeah, not the day you thought it was going to be, is it, Cindy? It gets real. It gets much realer in real life, because that's the real world. I don't live in a cell phone. I do too long, too much of my life is in a cell phone. So when I'm outside the cell phone, the last thing you should do is try to pull me into your little, dystopian hell. Someone said I missed going to the gym and I can't go because of you know what? That's so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy not to be able to go to the gym. The amount of collateral damage they've done, I've said it a million times. I'm not going to repeat myself because I've said it in so many videos, but I say it in every video because I want anybody new that's watching my video to hear this and hear it repeated because it's true. Like, I don't know. I treat these people, and I'm not even like being facetious or being metaphorical. I treat these people as if they're assaulting me. Like, some people are like, whatever. Like, if I went to go work for a company and they say, hey, Anomaly, in order to work for the company, you have to work 8 hours a day. Sure. You have to do this. Sure. You have to do this. Sure. I have to punch you in the face every day. I would be like, F no, you're not going to touch me. I'm going to inject you with something that you don't want to be injected with. No, I'm going to force you to take Advil every day. No, I'm going to force you to take this. No, I treat it like assault. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's not even an option in my head because these people are assaulting me. They're trying to assault me with a medical product that I don't want, with a company that has no liability for the product, as the media covers it all up because they don't have any liability. They don't have to. They don't have to do anything. They have no financial liability. If something happens with a car malfunction, you could talk to your car dealership. If something happens with a food malfunction, you could talk to them. Big Pharma has no liability. Guys, they played you. This whole world was created through legislation and you're living in it. Okay. So it's not, oh, Trump's innocent because he did Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed is what brought you here. Reagan is not your hero because the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act brought this here. Okay. Your heroes are really the villains. I hate to break to the Republicans, but your two favorite people in the last 40 years are the two presidents who orchestrated this whole scheme to allow Big Pharma to do this to the whole country. And then they toss it over to Biden, and then you blame Biden, and then he gets in, then you blame him. It's definitely not Biden's. He's not helping. He's the worst president ever. But, only in your imagination is hiring the guy who set you up in the first place going to rearrange this. It's all a trap. But it's like, I treat it like assault. I'm not going to be abused. I'm not a slave. I'm not an animal. And that's how I feel. If I can't shop here, I can't shop here. If I can't come here, I can't come here. But that's how I truly feel. If 80% of the population felt that way, it would be over. So I hope the truckers have success. I think if I was a trucker, I'd probably be there with them just because I wouldn't be doing the mandates and I'd be tired of being abused. But is it going to work? I mean, not if everybody just sits there and does everything they're still doing. Like, out of everybody that I know, I'm not trying to be mean because there's people who take it to an even further extent than me. But out of everybody I know 20 people who agree with me. I know 18 people who do what they're told anyway. So it's like, it's like people need courage for sure. And when you stop doing it in your life, most of the oppression ends. Like, I'm not being oppressed as much as somebody who has to wear a mask 8 hours a day. I'm not being oppressed as somebody that's abusing their child because they can't figure out what school to put them in. I'm not taking the heat that a lot of people are taking. Why? Because I made a choice. And then there's other people that won't even fly and take it to an even higher extent, which is awesome. But it's like, I don't know. I can't tell people how to feel, but that's personally how I feel. And I feel it very strongly. Someone said, I'm going to read this real quick. David said, I'm sorry, I won't play the blame Republican games. This is 1% of the time. You're dead wrong. Well, I'm just going to explain what I said, and I'm going to explain why you're dead wrong and your emotions about loving Republicans are blocking your logic. Ronald Reagan signed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. Was it 100% his fault? Of course not. Was there pharmacy lobbyists involved? Duh. Was it bipartisan? I'm not sure, but probably. So was it just Ronald Reagan's fault? No. But he's the president who signed, without him, there is none, National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. That was the leading legislation to take away liability from the vaccine manufacturers. George Bush, another Republican, passed the PrEP Act. The PrEP Act, during an emergency, took away liability from big pharma products. So now that Reagan, Republican, Bush, Republican, passed through these two bills that suck up to big pharma, now big pharma has this massive immunity that apparently you don't have if you take their product after 5 months. So now what happens? Now they have all this legal liability. They're lobbying Washington. Well, now there's a pandemic. Well, now there's this. Trump passes the Operation Warp Speed. when he passed it, just like everyone, he knew that they were being protected under the PrEP Act. So Democrats are corrupt. They're not better by any means, but it was 3 Republicans, Reagan, Bush, and Trump, that have paved the way for big pharma tyranny. And that is a fact. So if you can't handle that fact, that's probably why you keep getting fooled. I guarantee, oh, the Iraq war is good because it's Republicans. The Patriot Act is good. It's just another one of those. And I'll tell you what the new modern day Patriot Act is for Republicans. Republicans got fooled by Reagan. They got fooled by Bush. Now they got fooled by Trump. They got fooled by Big Pharma. They got fooled by the Iraq war. They got fooled by the Patriot Act. The new one is these anti-Semitism laws that are being passed through by DeSantis, Trump, Cruz, and the whole Republican Party. That's the new Patriot Act that's being passed through to take away your constitutional rights. And you'll figure that out in 5 years. So you could cry about how wrong I am. And then when you don't have the free speech to talk about anything you want in 4 years, and it wasn't just the Democrats who took it away, then you could run back to my channel and be like, oh yeah, I remember when Anomaly told me that 3 years ago in 2019, I didn't want to listen. But now, you know, I'm in a country that's like Germany or UK where I don't even have the freedom, and I'm getting arrested for things that I'm saying that are completely factual. If you can't, I see Jar Jar, I see the comments. I'm not going to get upset or anything. If you can't handle what I'm saying and you need to go to your safe space, there's plenty of, you know, pages that are safe for you. You know, if you don't want to use your brain and think, and it provides this sort of like, oh my God, I just heard something that shattered my echo chamber. I can't take it. There's safe pages that you can go to that just tell you basic, like low level stuff that doesn't really accomplish anything. Go find one of those pages. You know, they got quite a bit. Someone said after they shot him in DC. I'm not here to say Ronald Reagan is the worst person ever. I'm just saying him, Bush, Trump paved the way for medical tyranny, and now Biden's beating you over the head with the hammer that they metaphorically left for him. So I'm not saying Reagan, he disagreed with it, right? I understand he got shot. That definitely sucks. I guess I don't know. I don't know how people expect to accomplish anything. And I'm not saying that that's not an excuse, because clearly that's a horrific event. But it's just like, okay, you identify that Reagan screwed you over, but it's not his fault. Bush screwed you over. You don't like him. Trump screwed you over, but he didn't. It's this game of like everyone screwing you over, and then we'll find some sort of excuse for why it's okay to keep screwing you over. So then what's the point of pretending like they're not screwing you over? Then the same people that are like, yeah, we got screwed over, they're like, it's going to be different this time. It's like, why would it be different? They're not even pretending like it's going to be different. Every day, every week, Trump endorses a new neocon who hates him, who works with a bunch of, you know, totally phonies. It's like, they're not even pretending to have this like strategy. Their strategy is, I'm not Joe Biden. And that's enough to get them the election, because Joe Biden's awful. Gas prices will go down. The economy will be better. Republicans will sell our country out to Israel and say that it's anti-Semitic to say that. You'll lose your First Amendment. They'll keep working with the banks. They'll probably just be Democrats light on big pharma. And then, you know, you'll say in 4 more years that Trump got fooled by Jared Kushner, or we almost got him this time. Well, you just need 15 more years when he's 200 years old. It's like, it's the same story on loop, but I get it. Lisa said, are you anti-Semitic or anti-Israel? Lisa, are you anti-Black or anti-Asian? Do you hate all humans, or do you just hate me? See, that's like the craziest straw man article. Are you anti-vaxxer or anti-logic? Are you anti-white people, or are you just like a conspiracy theorist? You know, like what that's a total, like, that's like I'm in a CNN interview. Like, do you hate Israel or do you hate Jews? It's like neither. What part of the First Amendment? If I don't want them to pass legislation that says you can jail people if you're a racist, does that mean I'm a racist? Does that mean I hate Black people? No, it means I'm not as dumb as you. And I understand that when you give politicians the power to weaponize against the First Amendment so you can't speak about something, you're screwed. You don't have a constitution anymore. So There is no anti-Israel or anti-Semitic angle to it. They're passing laws, dozens of rules of things that you're not allowed to say, and passing it into legislation and trying to turn us into Germany or the UK or Canada, where you could get arrested for saying the truth about an ethnic group or a person, whether it be one lone CEO, they'll call you an anti-Semite, like you tried to call me. If you talk about the Anti-Defamation League, they'll call you an anti-Semite. George Soros, you're an anti-Semite. Bloomberg, you're an anti-Semite. You talk about you don't even know what it's like. People are so stupid. It's like, what? So do you hate everybody if you like the First Amendment? Like, no. Wake up, folks. People are so brainwashed. They listen to too much of this nonsense stuff where they're like, the only way to save Jews is to give up our Constitution. It's like, if you get penalized for criticizing a foreign country, they can use it for every country. They didn't just kick off Alex Jones. They kicked off Alex Jones as president to kick off everybody. If you can't criticize Israel without losing a government contract, eventually you're not going to be able to criticize China without losing a government contract, or Canada without losing a government contract. This is why Republicans lose. What part of the First Amendment don't you understand? Gab.com understands it. DeSantis doesn't understand it. I don't care if you're pro-Israel. Listen to what I'm saying. People, their brain melts down and they start talking like third graders. I don't care if you love Israel. I don't care if you live in Israel. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care if you're critical of Israel. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you own a deli that's called Greenblatt's Deli in the middle of New York City. I don't care who you are. Listen to what I'm talking about. This is a constitutional issue that Republicans are passing that is anti-First Amendment. Get it through your skull. If you don't understand how losing the right to speak about something that's valid, do you know one of the laws? I put it on my social media. One of the laws is you're not allowed to compare Israel to the Nazi party. That's one of the speech laws that DeSantis is pushing, that Trump is pushing. So I have right-wing Jews that I follow that constantly call Israel Nazis. I don't do that, but they do. That would be illegal. What don't you understand about that? You're not allowed to criticize a country that's giving their people 4 mRNA injections in order to enter a McDonald's. And you, through the politicians you like, are giving that up. You don't understand where this is leading. This leads to you having no voice, you having no freedom. It's the left and the right, and you think because you listen to somebody that they're fighting for your freedom. They're not. We've showed people a million times. I'm not trying to be rude, but since 2019, I showed people in 2019. Nobody wanted to listen. I'm not trying to go on a super rant, but what really ticks me off is I went to people in 2019 and I proved that Republicans were selling out the Constitution, and they just told me to shut up. Your same favorites. Oh, we're so Republican. We wear cowboy hats. Oh, we love a freedom. I'm like, hey, do you really love freedom? They're like, Anomaly, shut up. Yeah, we like freedom, not that freedom, though. That's okay. People are such sellouts. And then the pandemic comes, and then this comes. And oh, I'm sure it's just all so spontaneous and random. No, once you lose your freedom, you lose your freedom. What don't you get about that? You lose your Second Amendment if 5 years down the road something weird happens. It's not a coincidence. You lost your right to own firearms. Now you're screwed. You lost your freedom of speech in 2017, 2018, 2019. They infringed. And now you lost your country in 2020. It's not random. You guys gave up your freedom 3 years ago, and now you lost it. Reagan gave up your ability to sue a manufacturer. George Bush gave them more immunity under the PrEP Act, so now you can't sue Pfizer and Moderna if you get injured or die from their product. Now the government and the corporate press can sweep it under the rug and pretend like it doesn't even happen because legally they have no financial liability. And then you go to, right? And now you go to 2020 and Donald Trump signs Operation Warp Speed, which is giving $18 billion to Big Pharma and then buying their product on top of that. You think that the combination of those three things aren't going to lead to mandates? Of course they are. You think it's not going to lead to you not being able to question Big Pharma? Of course it is. So that's what I'm trying to explain to people is don't give up your freedom, especially the First Amendment. Don't give it up for Israel. Don't give it up for DeSantis. Don't give it up for Muslims under the Patriot. Don't give it up for anyone. Do not give up your freedom of speech to speak openly about ethnicity, a foreign country, military policy, whatever. These rules are not for you. They're made and created to open the door to take away all our free speech. And that's why you have these phonies at Getter getting mad at Gab. The CEO of Gab understands everything I'm talking about. The CEO of Getter is one of those type of people that doesn't give a crap about free speech. They're already enforcing hate speech laws. They're already saying that they can't have on Nick Fuentes and John Miller because they're so hateful. And then that dummy brings on, what's it called? Not the ACLU, but one of those type of organizations. I can't think of the exact name. Maybe it was like civil. It's like, you're more welcome if you're this vicious left-wing, mainstream journalist in these platforms than you are if you're a dissident right-winger who understands what these people are doing. People don't have to listen, but the people who will be 3 years ahead of everybody else figuring out that it's not just Democrats that are giving up the Constitution. And DeSantis is guilty of it too. Even though I like him, he doesn't understand this topic. Or, and if you really want to get spicy, I've told people this a bunch, but there's a reason for everything. And I'm going to ease in on this so people don't get freaked out. Okay. When Reynolds and cigarettes, when they lobbied Washington, right? When they paid money to politicians, why did they pay money? Do you think that the cigarette industry just paid money to Washington just because they liked them? No, they pay money because they want to gain influence over politicians. This is the easiest thing to understand. Billionaires and big pharma and the cigarette industry, they pay off politicians to push an agenda. Okay. So now let's move forward. Big pharma lobbies politicians unlike anybody else. Now, all of a sudden, we can't question big pharma. Why? Because they've bought enough influence in media and politics to make it status quo with their money that it's crazy to question them, even though they have the most questionable history. Okay, so now that we've identified that the cigarette industry and that big pharma pays off politicians to do things for them, do you think that there's people that don't do that as well? I could trace the biggest, before he passed away, rest in peace, I can trace the biggest Republican donor. It's mainstream information. Google Sheldon Adelson. He was the biggest GOP donor. If you listen to him speak, he's very clear about what he cares about and certain things that he cares about. And when Governor Abbott from Texas, when he talks about anti-Semitism, you have him bragging on Twitter saying, Israel just called me and thanked me for my anti-Semitism laws. So you have politicians that are being lobbied by not just foreign countries, but billionaires with an agenda of prioritizing a foreign country over America. And DeSantis and Cruz and Trump and Abbott are trying to pass speech laws to make what I just told you illegal. They want to do things and then tell people that they're not allowed to say it under the guise of hate speech. That's what they're doing. It's the same thing that Big Pharma is doing. We're going to fund all this money and then nobody's going to criticize us. That's the same thing that they're doing. And it's not everybody's fault, but they're doing it under the guise of a religion that half of them don't even believe in and study, and under a guise of an ethnic group. But they'll use it at any point in time to shut down a conversation, even if it's not hateful. If you talk about Soros, shut up. If you talk about Bloomberg, shut up. If you disagree with anybody of that ethnic group for any time that has nothing to do with race or religion, they're going to call you an anti-Semite and they're going to shut you down. They're already doing it. Ted Cruz plays along with it. He gets called an anti-Semite. Youngkin goes along with it. Youngkin's in on it, but he still gets called an anti-Semite. So you get what I'm saying? These words, racist, anti-Semite, what do they mean? Well, pretty much anything people want them to mean, right? Just if you don't feel like having a conversation, just accuse somebody of hating everybody and the conversation's over. So, the reason they're passing these laws is not because they love you so much or they love Jewish people. They're getting paid off to do it, just like they're getting paid off by Big Pharma in many cases. So, and then they're making it illegal to say that it's happening and saying, oh my God, Farrakhan, it's like, no, dummy, like you guys are just not respecting the First Amendment. The First Amendment doesn't say, except for hate speech, except for talk about ethnic groups, except for religion. It says you have the freedom of right and expression to protest freely and to speak freely. You're allowed to talk about white people and Jews and Islam. And in America, unless you want to live under Sharia law, then we could just be a Muslim country and then we'll have no free speech rules. Or if we want to live in this like degenerate, like pseudo-communist, Zionist, like, LGBT hellhole, then we don't have free speech. But if we were going to be like a constitutional country, then maybe we should keep the First Amendment. But if you guys are just going to like not understand that on the right wing, you're never going to win. There's a reason under 2020 that our country ended up like it ended up. It's not just the Democrats, the people that you look up to, they don't share the same values that they do. You like the Constitution, but they don't. And then I explain how they're selling out the Constitution. And you ask me if I hate an entire group of people or I hate a country. I don't hate anybody. I love the freedom of speech. I love the Constitution. I think the First Amendment is the most important part of the Constitution, if not the second, and they're worth preserving. And if they can convince you using your emotions and things that you like to give it up, you've lost it forever and you're never getting it back. So be very, very smart about this stuff. And I say this all the time, but it's the same as Kanye was saying to the black community in his speech. You know, self accountability has to be a part of your agenda. If your agenda for pro black or pro Jewish doesn't include self accountability, then it's not a real plan to make things better. Like DeSantis and Trump, they pass all these laws. Have they ever told Israel to self reflect on what they were doing and see if maybe they're doing something wrong? Of course not. Because Israel, you just can't question them. Oh, no, they're the greatest thing ever. I mean, they've never made a mistake. They're perfect. It's like, you know, they don't have any self accountability or self awareness. And apparently in America, the idea to stop hate is just to stop anybody who wants to talk about it, which doesn't stop hate. It just makes certain people more hateful. And it allows groups that are doing nefarious things to get away with it and never have to self reflect on their piece of the puzzle. And this is a time as old as this is a story as old as day. So, you know, when you talk about hate and protecting Jews in Israel, you know, you need to have self accountability as part of an equation. I don't think that the government of Israel is amazing. I'm sorry. I'm not Israeli. I'm not Jewish. I'm not, you know, I'm not a foreign agent, and I don't, I'm Italian, I'm Polish, but I'm not loyal to Italy or Poland. I'm loyal to America. So I speak freely about whatever I want, including criticism of our own government. But I don't want to not be able to speak about a foreign country or to protest a foreign country that I believe is evil. Okay. I believe the American government's evil, and I believe the Israeli government's evil. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I think a government that's trying to inject somebody 4 times with synthetic mRNA from Pfizer in order to go into a McDonald's in Tel Aviv, I don't think they're of God. I don't think they're a nation that supports my values. I don't think they're a Judeo-Christian nation. I think they're a wicked, evil nation. And I think America is becoming a wicked, evil regime. So when you have American politicians passing laws to say you can't question Big Pharma, Republican politicians passing laws to say you can't question Israel, and if you boycott or protest a foreign country that it's bad, you've lost your First Amendment. You are now going to lose it for everything else because they use something you agree with first, and then they bring everything else in. First, it's just Alex Jones. No, it's everybody. It's just the Patriot Act. No, it's not. It's just Iraq. Now we're in Libya. This is what they do every time, and nobody ever learns because they know how to trigger both sides. Well, how do you fool a left winger? It's so easy. Just say LGBT, Black Lives Matter, you know, whatever, pander to their social political ideology, and left wingers can get fooled into anything. They like vaccines. They hate vaccines. They're literally like puppets. Left wingers are the least critically thinking people in the country right now. They're turning into full-blown authoritarians who think backwards about everything. Okay, it's easy to fool a left winger. How do you fool a right winger? It's a little more difficult, but it's not that hard. Just put on a cowboy hat like Dan Crenshaw and tell them about red flag laws, or, you know, yell at, like, you know, little kids when they ask you legitimate, like, journalistic questions, and tell everybody that you're so much better than them. It's like, just throw a cowboy hat on, say you're American, and say, this is for America, the Patriot Act, the Iraq War, we're protecting Israel, Christians. This is the Israel from the Bible. The only way to protect it is to protect a government that's injecting their people with MR. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know if your pastor lied to you or Ben Shapiro or something, but it doesn't make any sense to give up the Constitution for that. And once it goes for that, it's gone for everything. Now they have the presidents, you know, well, if we can do that for Israel, why can't we do it for China? If we could do that for China, why can't we do that for Canada? Let's do it for Mexico. If you question Mexico, you're anti-Mexican. Have you ever heard that? If I say, hey, I mean, liberals do the same thing, I guess, but it's like, hey, I believe in border security. It's like, what do you hate all Mexicans? It's like, no, you know, that you smear me the same way that liberals smear you when you talk about border security, and you don't even realize it. So it's the same thing. Once they can do it for one country, they're going to do it for every country. And now you have no ability to speak out in this country. So it's the plan is obvious. And I want to say this too, real quick, because this is something that may come into play. The Atlantic already wrote an article about how Kamala should do what people wanted Mike Pence to do. And I want to say, not many people were saying this. I took a lot of heat then. I'll probably take a lot of heat now, but unfortunately, I just don't care. I'm not going to silence myself and be dumber just to appease people. But in general, when everybody was in November, December, and everybody started saying Mike Pence, Mike Pence, Mike Pence, I never believed it and I never took the bait. You know why? It sounded like a trap to me. Do I think that Trump should have had a way to, prove his election? For sure. But, November, January, nobody was saying after November, the only way we can win is if Mike Pence overturns the electorates and sends them back to the states, because that's a last ditch Hail Mary. Okay. Someone said the sound is lost. I don't know. I don't see that. If it's lost on you, maybe you hit a button, but nobody else is saying that. Anyway, the Mike Pence thing was a last minute Hail Mary. Okay. You, as a football team, you don't wait for the last second Hail Mary. If you're in a position where you have a last second Hail Mary, you screwed up, okay? Your chances of getting it are like 0.001%. It's not where you want to be. There were 35 other ways to try to win the election after November. Trump fell short of them. So then, selfishly, told everybody Mike Pence was going to do it. He threw a Hail Mary. I never bought this crap because I knew that Mike Pence wasn't going to overturn the election. I know that he doesn't have the power to overturn an election. I know that he only has the power to decertify results that were already certified to him with cowards in these states who then, didn't want to take the heat 2 months later and said, oh, give them back to me, give them back to me. If you wanted to decertify them, you could have done it in your state. These cowards didn't do it. And then once again, threw the Hail Mary at Mike Pence and tried to make themselves look like a hero. And I don't even like Mike Pence. But the point I'm getting to is when that happened, I told everybody in December and January, you guys don't even realize you're going to talk about Mike Pence, Mike Pence, Mike Pence overturning the election. You're not going to freaking do it because Mike Pence is not going to overturn the election. And you're going to show Kamala Harris that she can do that. And if Kamala Harris does do it, MAGA deserves it. Not because I want Kamala in office, because they were stupid enough to follow the vaccine salesman to the Capitol who threw a Hail Mary to Mike Pence and brainwashed everybody into thinking that was a good idea. It was a terrible idea. And now people are going to suffer because, say, Republicans win the 2024 election. What's going to stop Kamala Harris from using that excuse? Well, they said I could do it to Mike Pence. And what's going to stop you from being like, well, no, we did say that, but it was different that time. They're going to probably do that. So if Trump wins the 2024 election or somebody else, I would think that Kamala probably has the balls, metaphorically, to do it, unlike Mike Pence or Republicans. So, I thought that entire time that was a massive scam and a massive trap. And it was setting this narrative up that the vice president can do that, even though it's never done. Someone said Mike Pence is running in 2024. It doesn't matter because nobody's going to vote for him. Mike Pence has like a virtually 0% chance of winning. He's wildly unpopular. He's not going to win president. But in general, it's like Kamala might try to do that. And in a weird way, Trump and everybody who went along with that narrative set Kamala up to do that by saying that that was an okay thing to do for 3 months, even though nobody thought it was an okay thing to do besides people who follow Trump. So, it was unpopular then, but I saw that ahead of time before because I'm like, I don't just run with everybody else, right? If Trump's saying Moderna, 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 I'm not running off a cliff with a damn Moderna salesman. Everyone's like, oh my God, Patriots were going. I'm like, I didn't know exactly what was going to happen at that day. I thought people were not going to do anything crazy or it wasn't going to like break down. That was a total like spontaneous thing that I never had even thought. I just thought it was going to be a Trump rally. So let me mislabel people. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm like, why are you going to the Capitol to follow this guy who keeps tweeting about Moderna? I don't understand the whole point. He helped usher out this tyranny. He's better than Joe Biden, but I don't trust him. He doesn't. And then he's talking about Pence, Pence, Pence. I'm like, everybody's so emotional. I want Trump to win so bad. Yeah, so do I. I want Trump to win. I didn't want Joe Biden in office. But just because I want Trump to win doesn't mean I'll believe anything. I'm not a Moderna fan, So, man, this is like, it's like Republicans got to be wise because you're following the Pied Piper off a cliff. People hated me saying this 2 years ago, but I think it's starting to seep into people now. There's literally an Atlantic article explaining they're trying to push Kamala Harris to do that, to do what everybody told Pence to do. Why wouldn't they? I would be shocked if they wouldn't do it. It was a Hail Mary attempt at somebody who had 3 months to get better results who didn't want to take accountability for falling short, all the lawyers that couldn't get it done, etc. It's a tough task. No shame in that game. So selfishly, he just threw a Hail Mary to his vice president, brainwashed all supporters into thinking that was a viable option, fell short like I knew that they were going to do. And I'm not trying to play this I told you so game, but if you would have went to January 6th and asked everybody, do you think Trump's going to be in office on January 10th? Do you think Trump's going to still be in office on January 21st? A majority of people at that event thought that Trump was still going to be in office. As much as I thought maybe he could pull something off, I'm like, he's probably not going to be in office on the 20th. Okay. So it's like people were so in that zone. They're like, oh, Mike Pence is going to do this. No, he's not. He should do this. He should send the electorates back to the people who already sent him in, because after they sent him in, they got a lot of backlash, and now they're telling you that they're going to switch him up. They had the power to do something about that, and they didn't. And then they just threw a Hail Mary. I mean, people don't want to hear it, but if they do that in 2024, don't be shocked. Just don't. People got to stop falling for these traps, though, please. Someone said it's not logical to give that much power to the VP. Every VP would do it. Of course, 1,000%. It's a horrible idea. It was always a horrible idea. It's like the Patriot Act. It's like Republicans pass it and then Democrats use it. You just pass these bills, tell everybody it's for one thing, but now that bill's there, you can, you have the power to use it however you want to use it, because the legislation is broad in some ways, Someone said my ex-husband has constitutional rights and a Bill of Rights hanging in a frame in our living room for the last 10 years. He passed away in 2019, unfortunately, but he was an adamant that if Trump loses in 2020, we will lose the country. And I'm here 2 years later without him and my daughter absolutely have his Bill of Rights and Constitution on the wall. God bless you so much. God bless your husband too. God bless your family. Rest in peace. The First Amendment, so important. So important. Don't let any Democrat or Republican fool you into thinking it's a good idea to do for anybody. I don't want that. I don't want Israel to have it. I don't think Jews need it. I think self-accountability would go a long way, but nobody wants to say that, but it's true. Everybody, my ethnic group, my religion, I don't want it to be illegal to question the Pope. I don't want it to be illegal to question the church. There's a lot of corrupt people in the church. There's a lot of bullshit actors in the church. You need to have the ability to say what you want about it, right? So you lose your freedom for one thing, they'll take away everything. It's just, that's how they do it with the right wing, because a lot of Christians think that for some reason they have to destroy their country for a foreign country who doesn't care about them that much, and then they can go to heaven. I get the Bible passage that people are referencing, but personally, I interpret it differently, but I understand where it comes from. All right, I'll stay for a few more. I'll tell you what, though. I like the fact that everybody's paying attention now. Like, Revolver News, what's his name? Darren Betty. He wrote a good article about how Trump is endorsing a bunch of like total liars, so that's the energy. I think Trump could be useful if people stay on him and don't idolize him. Like, I like the fact that MAGA is questioning him now, because the truth is, and I'm not trying to overanalyze it, because I liked Trump for a while. I voted for him in 2020. I think he's a very likable person, and I think he's way realer than Obama, but he has that Obama type charm in a different way, where it's like liberals love Obama, so they don't, he's a schmoozer. He knows how to say things right for liberals. Trump is the same way, but for right wingers. He's rawer than Obama, and I like him way better, but Trump knows how to word everything right, even if he's not doing it. So I think, in a way, he could be dangerous if everybody just lays down and says, oh, he's got it under control. He doesn't have it under control. He didn't learn anything. He's still got a lot of the same advisors. He's still endorsing people who hate him, neocons, snakes, rhinos. He hasn't learned anything. It wasn't until people booed him 4 times that he stopped talking about the vaccine sales. And now that trucker protests has happened 2 years, thanks to really not his help, now he's hopping on that train, which is fine. And I think that's great. But it's like, people need to do what Darren Beatty's doing, etc. Don't just worship this guy like a fan BTS account, like it's a K-pop group. Look at what he's doing. And if he's hiring rhinos and neocons, make sure you have your voice heard. For instance, I think Trump can go different ways. And I personally, these are people that I like around Trump. I think he makes some good and bad decisions. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, and I'm not saying I agree with everything that Marjorie does, but I like her, Candace, Paul Gosar, Matt Gaetz types. Like, I'm trying to think of other people. these are people around Trump that I like a lot better than the ones that he's always endorsing all the time. So I'm not saying any politician's perfect, but I hope he goes the America first route and the people who are a little more real than this like phony, fake, 2016 route that he does with a lot of people. Because if people like that get power, then I think our country's in good hands. But if Trump keeps putting these other people in, I think in Tennessee, Robbie Starbuck is a very loyal Trump supporter who everybody likes, and Trump endorsed some total phony lady, who doesn't even like him. And it's like, how many times am I going to watch this guy just fool himself? Like, it's like at a certain point. So, to be positive, I like the fact that very big Trump supporters, Darren Beattie gets mentioned in Trump emails, but he's still, pushing back against Trump's narrative. So as long as people do that, we're fine. But people got to stay away from like oh, he has this special plan. Like that's the biggest psyop ever, whether it was meant to be or not. It's like if you play in a soccer game and it's like you don't even play, you're like, he has a plan. It's like, you're part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? You're part of America. And I'm not trying to overdo it, but hopefully this can be inspirational. Make America great again. We got to be great. We all got to do better, right? It's not like we all just have to sit and watch Trump. Like everybody play a part. And I know people do, but it's like, it's not going to be like sit around a campfire and see if he can do it by himself. People have to be great. And once you do great work, now you have more influence. Now you have more success. And with that, you can bless other people. If you create your own business, now you can be the corporation that you never want, you always wanted to see in the world. So, make America great again. I hope that people are really inspired to run for office. People like Ian Smith, right? I would trust Ian Smith, the gym guy from New Jersey. I trust Ian Smith more than every other politician. Do I know everything about him? No, but he takes a hardline stance for freedom, and I respect the crap out of that guy. I want more people like Ian Smith in office. So I hope people are inspired to run, create businesses, do media. People tell me to run. I'm not interested in politics. I like media and music, and I think it's part of the equation. So I will support and try to use my platform to support great people. But I hope that people don't just sit there and clap for stupid crap that he does, and more, make it so uncool for Trump to do the wrong thing that he has to do the right thing. Someone said Trump is just a man. I know, a very foolish person. But in general, listen, what I'm trying to say is stop clapping for dumb things he does, or else he's going to keep doing stupid things. You have to point it out and make it so uncool. Make it so uncool for Trump to do this that he stops doing it. It's not cool to sell booster shots on television all the time, Trump. Boo, you suck. You get what I'm doing? I'm not saying he's just a man. He's just a man making a mistake for 2 years. He's just a man funding big pharma to oppress us. Like, that doesn't help. Boo, you suck, Trump. Like, we got to make it so not cool to do this stuff. That's how we win. Not by sitting on the sidelines being like, yay. Be like, boo, boo, boo's work. Boo's work. Alabama booed him. I booed him. After 4 months of everybody hating me, everybody started booing him too. I wasn't the first one. I'm just saying that works. It works to make it not cool to do the wrong thing. Make it not cool to sell out the Constitution. Make it not cool to, penguin around with Dr. Fauci and then be like, oh, I didn't know what he was going to do. It's like, that's not cool. It's not, yeah, he's a man. Right. Jen Psaki's just a woman. Yeah, she's just a woman. She's trying. No, she's not. She's not trying that hard. His leadership, Trump's leadership was garbage in 2020. Garbage. His leadership in 2021 was garbage. He finally figured it out, and now he's starting to sound more like a populist, but I don't trust him. I don't think he really is. I think he's an opportunist after selling the vaccine for 2 years. He's going to swoop in and act like the populist leader of the trucker protest, which he really didn't help that much. But I'm glad he's talking about it. I think people should be a little more, you got to earn my trust, He lost my trust. I can't speak. He lost my trust. I trusted him like 80%, 85%, 90%. Now I trust him 5%. I trust Biden 0%. I trust DeSantis on some issues a lot, on some issues not very much. But it's a healthy relationship to be like, all right, you got to earn my trust. This is the game that they play, right? someone just said Trump, Anomaly would vote for Trump again. Over Biden, I would suck it up and I would vote for him. Why? It will make a minor impact on my gas. It will make a minor impact on, certain like stocks. I think he will do a better job with keeping the country afloat. So I will. But here's the thing. This is the game that they play, and it's getting old. It's like, well, I'm not Donald Trump. And then 4 years of Joe Biden. I mean, Trump's going to be really running on, I'm not Joe Biden. Yeah, he has a better, clearer agenda, but in many ways, until a month ago, he really didn't have a clear agenda for this new medical world. I get mail from him and Ronna McDaniel. They don't even talk about the medical tyranny in their mail. They're so out of touch, it's insane. But what do they know at the RNC? Well, we're not Joe Biden, and you're going to vote for us, right? Yeah, I guess I got to vote for you because you're not Joe Biden. And then Biden says, well, if you don't like Trump, you're going to vote for it. This is why politicians suck. Their only competition is the other shittier people on the other side. So we got to stop playing this game of, well, at least he's not Biden, and play this game of, yo, you sucked in 2020. Like, I don't think he should even be cheered on right now. I think he owes people an apology, dude. You blew it in 2020. Your 2021 leadership, although you had no social media, you could have spoken out for nurses and doctors and really made it clear how strongly you felt. But you used that time to sell shots 90% of the time and just said mandates, or whatever. His leadership was disgusting. I have zero respect for him as a leader anymore. But, people don't have to listen to me. I don't trust him. I think he needs to earn that trust. And I'm grateful that people like Revolver Media, etc., are not just clapping and saying, listen, dude, you're making the same mistakes you made. You're doing the same things that you did in 2018 and 2017 and 2019. And that's so good. It's great that big Trump supporters are not just like shining his shoes. We need that. I would 1,000% vote for like Candace Owens if she ran for Thomas Massey. I would vote for Candace 1,000 times before I voted for Trump. Would I and Russell Brand and Rogan do a podcast together? Sure, if I was invited, probably. Someone said no mandates for healthcare workers. I agree. There needs to be I feel like right now there is no who's really the leader against the mandates, like strong. You know what I'm saying? That's giving you like 10, 20 minutes. DeSantis, right? Joe Rogan. These are why these people are under such heat, because they're the ones that are speaking hard against this stuff. But all right. Someone said I would never vote for someone I distrusted. I hear you. I'm gonna end this in a second, but I would say this: like, outside of, I understand the perspective of like anarchist style. I don't like anybody. I'm not gonna vote. At the end of the day, someone's gonna win the election, right? Do elections have consequences? Yes. Are both parties failing us? Yes. Did Trump blow it in 2020? I think absolutely. However, there are going to be differences, in my opinion, like federal judges. Like, Trump got through certain people that, although they're not perfect, and obviously the Supreme Court ones kind of suck, there's going to be rulings where they do make the right decision. And I think federal judges, they're like, in most people's heads, they're like, Trump's going to arrest all the pedophiles and save the world, and he's going to save America. Like, no, but he's going to get in a few judges that do the right thing, some judges that do the wrong thing. He'll probably be better for the stock market. He'll make minor things, but so I think it still matters to a small extent. So if you say it doesn't matter at all, I don't agree with that. But I've had this conversation a bunch of times. I just think most people think it matters this much, and it really matters like this much. But I'm a realistic person. So if someone said, hey, I'm going to give you $1,000 and I'm going to give you $1,500, I'm going to take the 1,500 as long as there's no strings attached. Like, that's just the non-emotional me. But it's all good. I don't really care what other people think. That's something that I don't feel that strongly about. That if you disagree, it's whatever. All right, let's read one or two more. Someone said, I'm here to help. Said many ended up not helping. I hear you. This is a pretty good one. Irene said real quick, Americans only support the vaccine because it was made in the USA by China, ego of America. Well, I think that is a part of it. And this is real quick. It's so funny that the left wing is on the wrong side of this issue because usually the left wing would be right about this, but they're all like brainwashed by big pharma. But this is the thing about, a corporation. Like in my perfect view, I'm not a communist. I think communism's a scam. I think socialism sounds good, but I could see why it fails most of the time. But I do think corporatism and capitalism should be moral, right? So this is the thing. How many Republicans love big pharma because it's an American corporation? We want to be the best. We want our vaccine. Pfizer, Moderna. Oh, we're so American. It's like at a certain point, capitalism does suck if it's not moral. It needs to be moral capitalism. I don't like American capitalism in the sense of, oh, it's cheap and we made a lot of money. Yeah, but how many people did you kill? You know what I'm saying? How much money did you make off opioids? It doesn't make you a good American. It means you killed a lot of people and made a lot of money. How many people do your plastic products kill? How many people does your shitty cereal fill up with sugar and make them sick? So it's like, I'm not this capitalist that thinks that, oh my God, just make as much money as possible. No, it needs to be moral, and that's part of our responsibility too, to not buy products that are bad for us. I guess there's some companies that don't share our values, but they make good products that we buy. I'm okay with that. Although I respect a good protest too, that it's like, there's certain, digital tools that I need to succeed and I don't have many options, but if capitalism is immoral, it's not good. So, for sure that's Trump's angle is like, he's just like a sleazy businessman. Money, 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 McDonald's, whatever. Like he doesn't care, it's like at a certain point, America's going to fail because, we need a moral leader, a leader that can make a tough decision at crunch time and be like, I don't care if we make a lot of money from this. It's like, it's not good for people. It's too much. So I think that's the failure of American corporatism. But the problem that the left doesn't understand is two things. They're like obsessed with big pharma. Like 5 years ago, the left would hear what I'm saying and be like, Anomaly's right. Now they're like, but big pharma is my hero. It's like, you guys are so brainwashed. You don't even make sense. And to make matters worse, communism and so, like that's giving government more power, more like America is fine with the First Amendment. America is great. Private property is great. You want private property. You want to be able to own something. I don't even have that much money. If I wanted to move to some parts of this country, I can own something big, That's good. You don't want to live in a country where private property is illegal. That's communism. Communism is a scam. If you think corporations are bad now, believe communism and you'll find out what it's like if government and corporate merge and they have no competition. But that doesn't mean that, the opposite is true and immoral capitalism is great. I wish in America that we had, I guess that's what the FDA is supposed to be, right? The FDA, the CDC, they're supposed to be the moral arbiters of society, but they're some of the most immoral people out there. So, America has a huge morality problem in both parties. It's like money's important, economy is very important, but you shouldn't hurt millions of people just to make an extra buck. Like, there's a more efficient way of doing American stuff without hurting people. That's why, I try to buy products that I like in glass bottles, etc. It's like, I don't really buy as much garbage as I used to. So I try to, with my dollar, support moral companies that have products that help me and shun, bad food and bad stuff that hurts me. Someone said, I've heard enough. God bless you. Have a good night. Good night. I'm going to read this comment. Someone said, Nick said, Anam, I love you, dude, but you're so out of touch with the tune of God that you don't see what's going on. All right, Nick, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Tell me, I don't care that you said that. Explain to me how you're more in tune with God and how you get what's going on because you're in tune with God. Let me know because I want to know your perspective. You said I'm out of tune with God, and that I don't see what's going on. All right, Nick G, what is going on? Let me know. I'll look for you. He said, this is supposed to happen and it's not going to stop. Start talking about God instead of this crap. I got you. I get what you're saying. I got you. So I guess your narrative is, things are supposed to fall apart and you should talk about God more. Valid criticism, valid point. I hear you. I guess you could also tune into somebody who does that. There are a lot of like mainstream Christian channels, right, that just talk about that. So I'm not mad at you. I just think if that's the content that you want to hear, point taken. I'll hear what you said, but there are other places to watch. I don't know why you'd come on a channel like this and say that, but maybe you like me and you're trying to help me. So note taken. I get it. It's definitely, I guess I'm not like super upset, or angry right now. I'm just talking about it, but I hear what you're saying. Well, the point that he's making is basically like, the world's supposed to fall apart. So just let it be. What I find interesting is this, and I said this the other day, but I want to kind of reclarify it. I don't know you, Nick, and I'm not accusing you of this, but 99% of people that say that type of stuff to me, they're always complaining about politics. They're like, are you one of these guys that's going to go to a Trump rally and say, oh, I need Trump, Biden's going to destroy the country? Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't care about anything, but I always find the Christians, left wing or right wing, that tell me, "Oh, don't think about this stuff. It doesn't matter." It's like, just sit at home then, and don't watch any political channels. Don't watch me. Don't watch anyone. I'm not saying that's a fine take to have. You might have more mental clarity, but everybody that tells me to say that, I find most of the time they're only telling me to say that when I say something that they don't want to hear. But otherwise, they're clocked into Fox News 4 hours a day, freaking out about border security. It's like, yeah, just let the border fall apart. Let the country die. Let your kids get enslaved. Like what, like that's the whole mentality. It's like, oh, we're screwed. So it's like, no, I hear you. Then I guess, just move to the mountains, get some chickens and let the world burn. I'm not upset at it. I get that theory, but it's like, are you completely off the grid? Do you tune out of every, oh, you don't like Trump? I got you. You might be, I mean, if you got your own land and you got your own stuff and you're preparing for the end times, I got no problem with that, my brother. I think that's a valid point you made, and I will listen and consider it. I guess, I would say not defend myself, but if you notice with a lot of my live streams, to kind of tell you where my head's at, I understand that certain things is very hard to solve. I understand that issues are complex. I understand that, what I want to happen is not going to happen most of the time. So I try to intertwine what I'm saying with health, wellness, mindset. I try to tell people about, motivation, inspiration, stuff like that. I do that purposely in almost every video. If you notice, if you watch back like hundreds of videos I made, almost everyone is tying this like positive thing at the end. Everything's tying this like, okay, but here's what we can do, or here's what I'm going to do. So I'm definitely not perfect. I know certain times I get more passionate or thrown off at certain things, but I do think that overall, more than anybody in politics, that I bring like spirituality, good energy, inspiration, fitness, health, etc. to my message, injecting it with politics, because I know people want to watch politics. I care about politics, but I make sure I always lace it with a positive message of doing something. And, I think I'm one of the few people who really does that. There are people, obviously, but that was kind of my initial goal when I got into politics. I was like, I got to switch the energy of this. It's got to be better. It's got to be more positive. And I do that purposely. I talk about health and fitness. I'm not fat shaming or trying to be mean. I've heard stories of people like, dude, I lost 100 pounds because of you. I'm in better shape than ever. And I'm like, that's sick. Like, that's great. That's a real positive impact that you can have on somebody's life. And someone said that on Twitter recently. I forget who it was, but some media reporter was like, I think he was left wing. He was like, you can't say Rogan's never done anything for health. He fat shamed me on a podcast and I lost 50 pounds. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I guess Rogan said the guy was fat or something. I don't know, because he was saying something about Rogan, but the guy ended up taking that, internalizing it, and losing weight. It's like a mean coach at a certain point, right? It's like a mean coach that's like, yo, you got to do this. And then you do it. So, I get both dynamics of that with certain things. I think on one hand, it's nice to be compassionate And on the other hand, sometimes you need to be tough with me, with other people. So I think, sometimes the compassionate angle works and sometimes the shame angle works. Like if you shame me, if I was hella skinny and you said, dude, you're shamefully skinny, it's like, maybe that's a mean thing to say. Maybe it's true. Maybe I should work out. I don't know. So I think you saying that to me, I appreciate you saying that, because I actually I think there's a lot of validity to what you said about God and what's meant to be. But I do my best to make the bigger picture important. But I have a long way to go. And I think that's something that can really help me out too. Cause you got to understand, when I'm doing videos like this, it's been like 2 hours, but also I'm editing all day. I'm filming. So, it's just a lot of work. So I guess on one hand, I'm usually pretty positive and optimistic, etc. But I don't know. I guess like I could just sit here and do nothing and talk about nothing and make no, I just, it's not my thing. Can I see the wind to believe there's wind? I don't know. Is that a trick question? Do I see the wind? No. Is it there? Yeah. Is the point you're making you can believe in things you don't see? I get what you're saying. Someone said things are going to come to an end at some point, but who are we to say, okay, let's give up and not save what we have? Well, I guess this is, and then I'm really going to go. This is another talking point, I think, with like Christians. And I'm not trying to act like I'm the most Christian or the most biblical person, because I'm certainly not. But if you talk to old Christians, like I have friends that their parents were Christians and their parents were like super Christian. They remember growing up and their parents were telling them all the time, the rapture's coming, the rapture's coming. So yes, it's bad now, but it's always been bad. Like World War II. Oh shit, we're going to nuke ourselves, Oh my God, Iran has nukes. The pandemic, there's North Korea. There's always the Al-Qaeda, whatever, Biden. There's always going to be something crazy. And it seems like it keeps getting crazier. So I get where you're coming from, because me personally, like, yeah, I see parallels to the Bible. Who doesn't? But this is not a new thing. Christians for hundreds of years have always been like, the rapture's coming, the rapture's coming, the rapture's coming. Am I trying to downplay the rapture? Not at all. But I'm trying to say that it could come in 5 years. It could come in 5 minutes. It could come in 500 years. It could come in 5,000 years. So, I guess I want to save my country. I want to try to save my country. If it gets past the point of saving, I'm going to move to the woods in the mountains. I'm pretty damn close. But you're saying it's the end, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. But what I am saying is Christians have said this. There are people that were just like you 80 years ago who said it's going to end in 5 minutes. It's going to end in 5 years. It's going to end in January of 1970. And they say that, and they say that, and they say that, and they were wrong every time. So I'm not here to predict it. I want to do what I can while I'm here. I think it is great to be prepared and ready, but I'm not going to give up America because I think it's ending tomorrow. I think, there's hope. Honestly, I don't know. I think that eventually it could happen in 5 years. Like I could end up in a gulag, right? I could end up in a gulag and praying for Jesus to come save me, or I could have, 70 years and things flip around and freedom comes back, and what once was crazy is now a past memory, just like World War I and World War II were for people who fought and died, or people who had family die. So, if your platoon gets killed in World War II, you're a Christian, you're like, yo, this might be the end, right? This might really be the end of America and end of everything. So, I guess I think it seems like it is, but I do. Oh, he said I'm not a Christian and nobody knows the time. All right, I don't know what you are, so I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not giving up on my country right now. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I will try to do what I'm doing. Or maybe someone else said I'm not a Christian. I don't know. Okay, he said I am following Christ. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard from people that's parents are super Christian that they told them growing up every day when they were 5 years old, the rapture's coming tomorrow. The rapture's coming tomorrow. And it turned their kids away from Christianity because they were so used to their parents dooming and glooming about dying that, it made them feel like Christianity was a buzzkill. So I've heard that story too. So just be aware that you might be right, but also you might be wrong. And this is not a new you could read books from 200 years ago, and I'm sure Christians thought it was ending then too. However, you do see similarities. I mean, the Israel part, yeah, I hear you. Someone said the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Yeah, I mean, I'll do what I can. I'll chill out, but I think in a weird way too, outside of the Bible, this can turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is what I'm kind of nervous of Christians. Like, maybe this is meant to be, but at a certain point, maybe it's what's meant to be will meant to be. But like, there are people in history who have saved Christianity. Christianity could have died out 100 years ago. There's people like Martin Luther, not King, but Martin Luther, who made a lot of moves to extend the awareness of Christianity at the time. There were things like the Crusades. So it's like, without certain people, we're not even here right now, right? So it's like the people that are thinking it's over are certainly not going to be the next era of Martin Luther's who are revitalizing Christianity, if that's where it's meant to be. And if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But I don't feel like God put me here to roll over and, say that it's over, because I don't necessarily think it is. And I think that other religions and other ethnic groups are planning for the future, and Christians in America are not. So you're going to lose, because in many ways it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, if I think I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose. But there's Muslims don't think they're going to lose. People in Israel don't think they're going to lose. If they thought they were going to lose, they would have lost yesterday. Like, in order to keep themselves alive, they need to constantly be thinking they're not going to lose. So, I'm not saying that the Bible is wrong, because I don't think it is. But this idea that I just need to roll over and die or something because it's going to happen in 5 years, I don't subscribe to that. And in fact, I think it could turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy in a bad way if enough people believe that, right? I think it's part of kind of the interpretation of it. It's like, you got a lot of watered down Christianity, a lot of BLM, LGBT Christianity, and it's like, these are groups that are pushing left-wing ideology that doesn't line up with a lot of biblical things, and they're trying to say it's hate speech to read certain lines. Like, that's not necessarily Christian. So I think it's good to, believe what you want to believe, but I don't subscribe to every version of like what's happening and what's going to happen. And I don't think that I was called to just kind of, roll over. So I support the Christians who identify what's going on. So many missionaries are out preaching the word. Why are they preaching the word? Because they're trying to extend the life of their religion, and they're trying to wake people up before that time comes. If everybody felt like it was over, nobody would be doing this type of stuff. They'd just be sitting there being like, all right, well, it's our time to go. Maybe it's in 5 years, maybe it's in 50 years, maybe it's in 500 years. We will see. But with technology increasing, it does seem like we're getting to a point of no return, but I don't know. Maybe we'll be dancing in the metaverse and just for hundreds of years. Never mind. That sounds terrible. At that point, might as well end it. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for hanging out. Long live stream. I almost didn't do it, but I was like, I've been doing so many short, like, vertical videos. I apologize. In March, I'm going to get to way more horizontal. I do the vertical ones for Instagram and TikTok, and then I kind of expand on them. So only another month of vertical stuff. Sorry if that's annoying on YouTube and Facebook. But then I'm going to start really focusing on higher level content, better quality, more getting the quantity without the quality going down. So I have a lot planned in March. I actually have a friend that's going to help. And, that should really boost my production rate. I'm excited for that because I do all the work up until this point by myself. So we'll see how that works. Thanks for hanging out. And I do have more videos that are going to be out tomorrow and stuff. Probably a Canadian trucker protest interview. And then also just this Jen Psaki clip. So appreciate it. And my guy, Nick, thank you for the interesting discussion. I like when people push back because it always brings up a good topic usually. So appreciate y'all. Have a good one.